Chapter 1482. Chapter 1482. Chapter 1482. Presumptuous time passed by slowly like a cloud. In the blink of an eye, 40 minutes had passed. There were only 20 minutes left before the 1-hour time limit. Ma Qianshan and Ning Yu were not in a hurry to form their pills. They seemed to have discussed this beforehand, and were still burning the bottom of the furnace with flames. Crackle. Crackling sounds could be heard from the two pill furnaces. It was clear and crisp. What's going on? After 40 minutes, Shido the Venerable One's face took on a ghastly expression when he saw that Ma Qianshan had not formed his pill. Apart from Shido the Venerable One, even Nando the Venerable One, Beido the Venerable One, and the remaining 5 alchemists were dumbfounded. Now that the pill was formed, Ma Qianshan could definitely refine a top-grade Wind-Dew pill. As long as he could refine a supreme-grade Wind-Dew pill, he would definitely win. What was Ma Qianshan thinking? Was he going to refine a supreme Wind-Dew pill? Shido the Venerable One and the others had grave looks on their faces at this thought. The transcendent-grade Wind-Dew pill was not that easy to refine. They wanted to remind Ma Qianshan so that he could form the pill as soon as possible. But they were also worried that they would disturb Ma Qianshan and cause him to fall short of success. For a moment, they were caught in a dilemma. This is bad. That kid might be able to refine the Wind-Dew pill before Ma Qianshan. South Dipper the Venerable One took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, West Dipper the Venerable One, quickly think of a way to contact Ma Qianshan and ask him to form the pills as soon as possible. You think I don't want to contact you? Shido the Venerable One was furious. First of all, Ma Qianshan mustn't be affected during the alchemy process, or his pills might explode. Secondly, Meng Quan said that nobody can disturb them during the process, or they'll be killed without mercy. Sigh. Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, sighed helplessly. In actuality, Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, knew the key to this, but he was anxious. As long as Ma Qianshan could win this pill refining competition, they would be able to obtain the medicinal pills that Meng Quan refined. 78 stalks of earth dragon grass as the main ingredient, in addition to several other precious herbs, to refine a pill, it would definitely be able to regenerate flesh and bones from the dead. As expected, Ma Qianshan also wants to refine the transcendent Wind-Dew pill. While he was refining pills, Ningyu did not forget to glance at Ma Qianshan. At this moment, Ningyu felt a little lucky. Fortunately, he was preparing to refine the Wind-Dew pill. Otherwise, he would have fallen into Ma Qianshan's trap. You want to compete with me to see who can refine a transcendent-grade Wind-Dew pill first? You are still lacking a little. With a smirk, Ningyu controlled his soul force to enter the cauldron and started to refine the Wind-Dew pill. 5 minutes passed. A cold light shot out from Ningyu's eyes, and then he slapped the pill furnace with his right hand. No one noticed that a flame suddenly appeared in Ningyu's palm when he was slapping the pill furnace. Demonic Lotus Flame? Ningyu hid the demonic lotus flame very deeply, causing Meng Quan to not notice any clues. Kacha! Due to the demonic lotus fire's fearsome pressure, Shido the Venerable One's furnace broke into 2. My cauldron! Shido the Venerable One yelled after the furnace broke. He was so furious that he almost passed out. The furnace was ranked 70th on the heaven ranking of alchemy furnaces, and it was extremely precious. Now that it was smashed by Ningyu, how could Shido the Venerable One not be furious? It's inevitable for a furnace to explode during pill refinement. Seeing as Shido the Venerable One was about to make a move, Meng Quan calmly said, My furnace has exploded many times when I refined pills in the past, so don't make a fuss about nothing. I'm making a fuss about nothing? Shido the Venerable One was so furious that he was about to cry. He was not making a fuss about nothing. He was clearly feeling sorry for his furnace. I like to see what pill he's going to refine. Shido the Venerable One had a grim look on his face. I saw a pill fly out of the furnace just now, and he's holding it in his hand. Can you take it out now? Boom! At the spur of the moment, Ma Qianshan slapped the furnace as well. The lid flew up, and a pill appeared on Ma Qianshan's palm. The pill was white with wisps of white gas surrounding it. and it looked delightful. A supreme wind-dew pill. Unquestionably, Ma Qianshan refined a supreme wind-dew pill. Ha ha ha. Shido, the Venerable One, looked up and laughed maniacally when he sensed the rich aura released by the pill in Ma Qianshan's palm. He stared at Meng Quan and asked, "Can you take the pill out now?" Ma Qianshan refined a supreme wind-dew pill, which means that we've won. Don't just stand there. Quickly hand the pill over to us. We need to return to our respective armies as soon as possible. Thud, thud, thud. Instead of answering Shido, the Venerable One, Meng Quan tapped his seat with his right hand and asked, "Do you really think that Ma Qianshan won? Why? How could it be fake?" Shido, the Venerable One, was startled. "If you don't believe me, you can check it yourself." "Please check it, Commander of the Eastern Army." Ma Qianshan approached Meng Quan and handed the wind-dew pill to him without being humble. Ma Qianshan frowned when he accepted the wind-dew pill from Ma Qianshan's hand. He released his soul power to examine it carefully. In actuality, Meng Quan had already determined that Ma Qianshan refined a supreme wind-dew pill. However, Ningyu sent him a voice transmission earlier and asked him to buy some time for him. Although Meng Quan was puzzled, he did as he was told without asking any questions. "This pill is just SOSO. Meng Quan returned the wind-dew pill to Ma Qianshan. "You're not worthy of being arrogant for refining a pill of this quality in 45 minutes. Meng Quan, I'm asking you if Ma Qianshan refined a supreme wind-dew pill." Shido, the Venerable One, did not want to argue with Meng Quan here, so he uttered coldly, "As the commander of the Eastern Army and an elder of the Alchemy Guild, are you going to go back on your word?" "Oomph. Meng Quan, apart from the pill, you still have to give us 400,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals." Nando, the Venerable One, scoffed. "Hand over the pill and 400,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals, or I'll spread the news right away." Big Dipper, the Venerable One, was even more ruthless. He retrieved a crystal ball and held it tightly with his right hand. Big Dipper, the Venerable One's intention was clear. "If you go back on your word, I'll crush the crystal ball and let the Northern Army spread the news. Once the news spreads, Meng Quan's reputation will definitely be affected. By then, apart from the 4 armies, Meng Quan's reputation would be greatly affected even in the Alchemy Guild." "Why do you want to spread the news?" At this moment, Ningyu slowly exhaled a mouthful of foul air and revealed a puzzled expression as he said, "Are you going to tell everyone that Ma Qianshan has lost to me, and you guys are still making trouble here?" Chapter 1483. Soul Power. Shido, the Venerable One, and the others were dumbfounded when they heard Ningyu. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen someone this arrogant. It was already confirmed that Ma Qianshan had refined a transcendent-grade wind-dew pill. Why were you still so arrogant? Meng Quan reacted differently from Shido, the Venerable One, and the others. He didn't think that Ningyu was arrogant. Instead, he asked, "Is it done?" Ningyu nodded. "It's done." "All right." Meng Quan fiercely slammed the seat beneath him with his right hand and shouted loudly, "Kacha!" Due to Meng Quan's great strength, the chair beneath him was directly smashed into pieces. The chair shattered, but Meng Quan was not bothered at all. He said to Shido, the Venerable One, "Get ready for the 3rd alchemy challenge. The 2nd one has ended. It's not a problem to prepare for the 3rd match, but you have to first... No, why do you have to prepare for the 3rd match?" Shido, the Venerable One, seemed to have come to a realization as he spoke. "You've clearly lost the first 2 alchemy battles, so why do you still want to carry on with the 3rd one?" "Because I won the 2nd alchemy competition." Ningyu took a step forward and opened his right hand. In his palm, there was a white pill lying flat on top of it. Compared to the elixir refined by Ma Qianshan, the quality of the wind-dew elixir refined by Ningyu is slightly better. Transcendent grade wind-dew pill. That's right. Ningyu had also refined a transcendent grade wind-dew pill. How is this possible? Ma Qianshan's eyes widened. He snatched the elixir pill from Ningyu's hand and exclaimed, "Didn't your elixir furnace explode? How can you still refine a transcendent grade wind-dew pill?" Ma Qianshan's expression was very special, as if he had seen a ghost. If Ningyu really refined a supreme wind dew pill, wouldn't that mean that he had lost this round? Losing one round wasn't a big deal. The key was that he had a bet with Ningyu. Whoever lost would suffer. Who told you that you can't refine the transcendent grade wind dew pill if the furnace explodes? Your thinking is very dangerous. Ningyu shrugged and said, the wind dew pill is just an 8th grade pill, and I'm a peak 8th grade alchemist. It's natural for me to refine a supreme grade wind dew pill. I really don't understand why you're making such a fuss. Pucci. Ma Qianshan could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. A matter of course. Even I, a 9th grade alchemist, had to put in a lot of effort to refine a supreme grade wind dew pill. You are only a tier 8 pill refiner, yet you claim that refining transcendent grade wind dew pills is a matter of course. It was truly infuriating to compare oneself to others. Ma Qianshan, do you admit that this is a supreme wind dew pill? Meng Quan appeared to be more humane. He did not force Ma Qianshan, but instead released his aura, as if he had the urge to suppress Ma Qianshan at any moment. Pucci. This time, Ma Qianshan really vomited a mouthful of blood. Even if Meng Quan did not force him with his aura, he could not refute. This was because the pill that Ningyu refined was indeed a genuine supreme grade wind dew pill. Ma Qianshan could not refute, and he dare not. Get ready for the 3rd match. Meng Quan withdrew his aura and waved his hand. Our members will remain the same for the 3rd match. Who will you send out? Ma Qianshan will continue to fight. Shido the Venerable One gritted his teeth. Shido the Venerable One thought that Ma Qianshan's defeat was a coincidence. Therefore, he trusted Ma Qianshan for the 3rd match as well. I'm sorry, but there's something that hasn't been settled before the 3rd alchemy match. Ningyu was hesitant. I made an agreement with Ma Qianshan before I refined the pill. Now, I can order him to do something for me unconditionally. You won't go back on your word, will you? As he spoke, Ningyu retrieved a crystal ball from his pocket and looked like he was going to crush it. I won't. Big Dipper, the Venerable One, was infuriated by Ningyu's action. Ningyu was clearly copying him. Nonetheless, he could not refute Ningyu as he had Meng Quan's support. Besides, it was true that Ma Qianshan was defeated. According to the agreement, it was only natural for him to obey Ningyu's orders. What do you want me to do? Ma Qianshan was a man, so he asked in a deep voice. It's simple. I need a boy to refine pills for me to look after my alchemy cauldron and refine herbs. How about this? I have an enemy in Giant Shield City, so you'll have to kill him for me when the 2 armies fight. Ningyu answered. Poof, poof, poof. When Ma Qianshan heard the first half of Ningyu's sentence, he thought that Ningyu wanted him to be a boy to refine pills. However, when he heard the second half of Ningyu's sentence, Ma Qianshan spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. You want me to kill someone in Giant Shield City? Damn it, can't you act according to common sense? You're spitting blood? Looks like I'll have to change my request. Based on your current state, you'll be killed in 1 move even if you face that enemy. Ningyu's brows knit together tightly as he said, From now on, you'll stay by my side for 3 days. You'll do whatever I tell you to do during these 3 days, and you can't resist at all. I object, Ma Qianshan uttered coldly. Let's make this clear. You order me to do something, so what do you want to do now? Objection overruled. A cold light shot out of Meng Quan's eyes and entered Ma Qianshan's consciousness in the blink of an eye. The cold light was Meng Quan's soul power. It was evident that Meng Quan had left his soul power in Ma Qianshan's consciousness, so he had complete control over Ma Qianshan's life and death. What are you trying to do? Meng Quan's action made the West Do Venerable and the South Do Venerable very nervous. They were afraid that Meng Quan would suddenly attack. Don't be nervous. I'm just joking. Meng Quan smiled. It's decided then. Ma Qianshan will follow him for 3 days, and within these 3 days, Ma Qianshan will do whatever he tells him to do. Meng Quan flicked his wrist, then a soul power flew out of his sleeve. The soul power floated in front of Ningyu. Ningyu understood, so he grabbed the soul power and kept it carefully. Ningyu was not a hothead, so he knew very well why Meng Quan gave him soul power. Firstly, It would allow him to control Ma Qianshan well. Needless to say, that was secondary. Most importantly, he could use it to probe Ma Qianshan's secrets. From the beginning to the end, Meng Quan did not really believe in Ningyu. Why don't you keep the soul power in your body? Meng Quan asked as he stared at Ningyu. This soul power isn't mine. I'm afraid that you'll want it back in the future, Ningyu answered immediately. It's fine, I'll give it to you. Meng Quan waved his hand. Thank you, leader. Ningyu thanked him and kept the soul power in his body. After Ningyu withdrew his soul power into his body, he carefully hid his secrets, not daring to expose them. If Meng Quan found out that he was not the black-faced burly man, he would be in big trouble. Ningyu's current identity was the black-faced burly man, not Ningyu. As the leader of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan definitely knew Ningyu's face. Chapter 1484. Who wins and who loses? Is there really no problem? Meng Quan frowned slightly when he saw how calm Ningyu was. He was perplexed. Originally, he thought that there was definitely something wrong with Ningyu. Therefore, he had to find a way to transfer his soul power into Ningyu's body. However, now that he was communicating with the soul force in Ningyu's body, he didn't find any clues. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Meng Quan took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. After probing Ningyu a few times, Meng Quan finally dispelled the worries in his heart. Accepting Ningyu, no, accepting the black-faced man as his disciple, was only a matter of time. For the third match, we will send out Ma Qianhe. Since the fact that Ma Qianshan was under Ningyu's control could not be changed, Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, and the others would not ask about it. To them, the most important match was the third match. As long as they won the third match, they would be able to obtain the medicinal pills that Meng Quan refined. Anyone would want a pill that could regenerate flesh and bones from the brink of death. Ma Qianhe. Ningyu raised his eyebrows and turned to stare at Ma Qianshan. Who is he to you? Could it be your brother? In fact, Ningyu could not be blamed for thinking this way. Ma Qianhe, Ma Qianshan, and they were from the same camp. They were clearly two brothers. Ma Qianshan snorted coldly and turned his head away. Although Ma Qianhe and Ma Qianshan's names only differed by a single word, their relationship was pure and flawless. Let the third round of the competition begin. Concoct a 9th-rank medicinal pill. Shido the Venerable One flapped his sleeves, causing 2 storage bags to fly out. One flew towards Ma Qianhe, the other towards Ningyu. Pa! Pa! Ningyu and Ma Qianhe caught the inventory bag at the same time. However, after Ma Qianhe received the storage bag, he immediately took out his alchemy furnace and began to refine pills. On the other hand, Ningyu poured out all the herbs in his storage bag and examined them carefully. The reason why Ningyu did this was not because he was confident, but because he did not want to borrow the pill furnace from Meng Quan. He was evaluating and judging whether this 9th-grade medicinal pill could be refined using an ordinary alchemy furnace. Ningyu had an alchemy furnace on him, and it was an illusory alchemy furnace. However, Ningyu did not intend to use the Nihility pill furnace for alchemy. For a top-grade pill furnace like the Nihility pill furnace, Ningyu did not want to expose it in front of Meng Quan. 9th-grade heart protection pill. After looking at all the medicinal herbs, the worry in Ningyu's heart was slightly alleviated. The Grade 9 heart protection elixir could be said to be the most special among the Grade 9 elixirs. Ordinary 9th-grade medicinal pills had extremely high requirements for the alchemy furnace. If a low-level pill furnace was used to refine the pill, it was very likely that the pill would explode. But the heart-protecting pill was different. It only had high requirements for spiritual perception. It didn't have high requirements for the pill furnace. Rise! In the next moment, Ningyu flung his sleeves, and a cauldron flew out. The cauldron he took out was not of high quality. In fact, it was not even in the top 100 of the pill furnace heaven ranking. However, with this cauldron, Ningyu was very confident that he could refine the rank 9 heart protection pill within half an hour. Ha ha ha! When the Shido Venerable saw the cauldron Ningyu took out, he could not help but laugh maniacally. To think that you took out such a low-level cauldron to refine the heart protection pill. If you can refine it, I will avoid you from now on. Although the cauldron requirement for the heart protection pill is not high, he is really arrogant to use a cauldron that is not ranked in the top 100 of the pill furnace heaven ranking to refine it. Hee, let's just watch him explode. That's right. Earlier, when he refined a rank 8 wind dew pill, his pill exploded. Now that he is refining the rank 9 heart protection pill, it would be strange if his pill did not explode. Aside from the Shido Venerable, even the other rank 8 and rank 9 alchemists started mocking Ningyu. In their opinion, not to mention defeating Ma Qianhe, Ningyu might not even be able to successfully refine the heart protection pill. Ningyu did not take the crowd's mockery to heart. He took a deep breath and did his best to maintain his mental state at its peak. Then he poured out his peak rank 8 soul energy into the cauldron. Chi. While Ningyu was refining the herbs, Ma Qianhe had already reached the second stage. Furthermore, Ma Qianhe was very fast, shockingly fast. Based on this speed, Ma Qianhe would need at most 20 minutes to refine the heart protection pill. The time limit is 1 hour. There is no rush. Ningyu glanced at Ma Qianhe. Then, he refined the heart protection pill unhurriedly. Ningyu was confident that he could refine the superior grade heart protection pill in 1 hour. Drip. Time passed continuously. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. When the 31st minute arrived, Ma Qianhe slammed the cauldron hard. Bang! Following this muffled sound, a silvery white pill suddenly shot out from the pill furnace. Ma Qianhe was quick to react, and he held the heart protection pill firmly in his hand. When he slowly opened his palm, a round white pill that was emitting thick white gas was lying flat on Ma Qianhe's palm. A medium-grade heart protection pill. The Shido Venerable and the others were elated when they sensed the aura emitted by the pill in Ma Qianhe's palm. After half an hour of refining, Ma Qianhe had refined a medium-grade heart protection pill. Although Ma Qianhe had only refined a medium-gray heart protection pill, everyone knew that he had basically won. Unless a miracle happened, the peak rank 8 alchemist who was still working hard to refine the pill would not win. Would a miracle happen? The answer was obviously no. Mengquan, can you hand over the pill that you refined now? The Shido Venerable was already a little impatient. Before Ningyu could refine the heart protection pill, he immediately came before Mengquan and proudly said, "As the leader of the Eastern Route Army, you can't go back on your words. What's the rush? The third round hasn't ended yet." Mengquan's expression was indifferent, and no one could tell if he was happy or angry. How can it not end yet? Could it be that that brat can refine a high-grade heart protection pill? The Shido Venerable's tone was cold. How do you know that I can't refine a high-grade heart protection pill? In the blink of an eye, Ningyu's indifferent voice resounded in the hall. The Shido Venerable's face turned extremely unsightly when he was interrupted by Ningyu. He was the leader of the Western Route Army, a quasi-heavenly sovereign. How could an initial phase 9th grade sovereign dare to interrupt him? This was truly tolerable. Fine, he had to tolerate it. What else could he do even if he couldn't tolerate it? Mengquan unleashed his powerful aura and moved around the hall. His aura would occasionally fall on Ma Qianhe and the Shido Venerable. The Shido Venerable was drenched in cold sweat. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. Chapter 1485. Chapter 1485. Chapter 1485. A horde of what? Top-grade heart protection pill. Upon hearing what Ningyu said, Shido the Venerable One could not care less about his anger anymore. He looked at Ningyu's palm. In Ningyu's palm, there was a white pill lying flat on it. Compared to Ma Qianhe's heart-protecting elixir, Ningyu's heart-protecting elixir was obviously better. Ma Qianhe was refining a middle-grade heart-protecting pill. Ningyu, on the other hand, was refining a high-grade heart protection pill. It was clear who was stronger and who was weaker. Shido the Venerable One, according to our agreement, you have no right to this pill. Mengquan took out the medicinal pellet he had refined with 78 stalks of earth dragon grass and shook it in front of them. He said, In addition, you guys need to take out 300,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals as a wager. 300,000 Emperor-grade essence crystals? Shido the Venerable One widened his mouth as he was shocked. Why don't you just rob someone? It's very simple. If you don't take out 300,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals, I'll have no choice but to do it myself. Meng Quan shrugged and took a step forward. He was ready to go all out if Shido the Venerable One did not agree to it. Shido the Venerable One and the others had ghastly looks on their faces when they saw what Meng Quan did. This was the Eastern Army, Meng Quan's territory. It was truly an unwise choice for them to fight Meng Quan to the death here. Here's your Emperor-grade origin crystal. Shido the Venerable One had a cold look on his face. He retrieved a storage bag from his sleeve and tossed it at Meng Quan. Go! After tossing the storage bag out, Shido the Venerable One grabbed another alchemist at the peak of rank 8 and tore the void apart before they disappeared. Here! South Dipper and North Dipper Venerable One's faces took on a ghastly expression when Shido the Venerable One did that. What to do? Helpless, they could only take out 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals and hand them over to Meng Quan. Meng Quan did not stop them. After they took out 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals, he let them all go. However, the only one who did not leave was Ma Qinshan. According to the agreement, Ma Qinshan had to follow Ningyu for 3 days, and he had to listen to Ningyu's orders unconditionally. These 300,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals are your reward. Meng Quan did not care if Shido the Venerable One and the others would leave. He put 300,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals into his storage bag and tossed them to Ningyu. After receiving the storage bag, Ningyu hurriedly bowed and thanked. Thank you, leader. Mu Ping, Mu Hua, bring him down and arrange a place for him to stay. Meng Quan waved his hand and said, in the next 3 days, all of you prepare well. 2 days later, we will attack Giant Shield City. Yes. Mu Ping and Mu Hua nodded at the same time, then dragged Ningyu out of the hall. Interesting. He can remain calm in front of me. Could his master be some old monster from the Alchemy Union? Looking at the backs of Ningyu and the others as they left, Meng Quan frowned and muttered, for this period of time, I'll keep him by my side and observe him. Whoosh! At the same time, in a certain tent of the Eastern Army, Mu Ping, Mu Hua, the 2 bloodthirsty wolves, and even the long-haired man rushed over. We'll attack Giant Shield City in 2 days. I have to find a chance to tell Master Xingyun and the others in Giant Shield City about this. Ningyu paced back and forth in the tent and thought to himself, I wonder if the army will attack together in 2 days, or if Meng Quan and the others will form a high-end combat power to break the ultimate killing formation by force. Of the 2 possibilities, Ningyu was more inclined to the second one. This was because Ningyu was the one who opened the ultimate killing formation. Hence, Ningyu was very confident in the formation's defense. If the army attacked together, not only would they be exposed, but they would also suffer heavy casualties. The second possibility, Ningyu was thinking of countermeasures. Since Ningyu did not speak, Mu Hua and the others in the tent dared not speak. Just like that, time flew. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. Ningyu still did not speak. 2 hours passed. Ningyu still did not speak. Finally, when the 3rd hour arrived, the long-haired man could not help but say, well, I've already spread the news. Do you want to got it? The long-haired man's words gave Ningyu a lot of inspiration. Ningyu's eyes widened, and he shouted, let's do it that way. All right, I'll go and spread the news now. The long-haired man hurriedly nodded, not daring to delay. His life was still in Ningyu's hands. If Ningyu wanted him to spread the news, he did not dare to disobey. What are you doing? Seeing that the long-haired man wanted to leave the tent, Ningyu revealed a puzzled expression and said, why do you want to leave? Are you going to snitch? Puffed. Ningyu's words almost made the long-haired man spit out a mouthful of blood. The long-haired man looked at Ningyu, dumbfounded. Didn't you ask me to leave to spread the news? Why did you go back on your words again? But even though the long-haired man was very depressed in his heart, he still did not dare to talk back to Ningyu. Come over, come over. That matter that I asked you to spread the news, you hide it well from me for the time being. Without my permission, absolutely do not spread it. Ningyu waved his hand at the long-haired man, fished out a storage bag from his bosom, and threw it to him, saying, "There are 10,000 pieces of Emperor-grade essence crystals inside. No matter what, you have to hold on for 2 days. Within 2 days, I don't care what methods you use. In short, you can't let this matter spread." All right, 10,000 pieces of Emperor-grade essence crystals could not make the long-haired man feel relieved of a heavy burden. In order to spread the news, he exhausted all of his means. Now, to control the news, forget about 10,000 pieces of Emperor-grade essence crystals. Even 20,000 pieces of Emperor-grade essence crystals was also very difficult. Then, what are we going to do next? Seeing the long-haired man leave the tent with a heavy heart, Mu Ping and Mu Hua were very nervous in their hearts. Their life and death were similarly controlled by Ningyu. As long as Ningyu was willing, they would die right now. Nothing much, just one word, wait. Ningyu casually found a chair and sat down, saying indifferently, "Wait." Mu Ping and Mu Hua exchanged glances, both seeing some helplessness in each other's eyes. Helplessness as helplessness. There was nothing they could do. There was no other way. Ningyu told them to wait, so they could only wait. Fierce, bloodthirsty madwolves, scarred madwolves. Ningyu did not bother with Mu Ping and Mu Hua. He turned to look at the two bloodthirsty madwolves and said, "You two have followed me for so long and helped me resolve many dangers. From now on, you two are free." As he spoke, Ningyu's mind stirred. Subsequently, the fierce, bloodthirsty mad wolves and Mu Hua felt the restraints in their bodies completely dissolve. In other words, their life and death were no longer under Ningyu's control. Not only that, Ningyu also thoroughly removed the remaining seals in their bodies. Fortunately, Ningyu helped them remove the remaining seals in their bodies. Otherwise, as long as the Jin family was willing, they could control them at any time. "Ningyu, there is something I want to ask for your help with." The fierce, bloodthirsty mad wolves and Mu Hua were not excited about the removal of the seals in their bodies. Chapter 1486. Chapter 1486. Arrival. A pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin clan. Ningyu's face turned grave. With his current strength, not to mention a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, he couldn't even defeat a 5th grade Earth Sovereign. From the ferocious Berserk Wolf's words, it seemed that the Berserk Wolf army that the Jin clan expert brought had a deep relationship with them. "We came from the same place." Seeing Ningyu's expression, the ferocious Berserk Wolf said in a low voice, "There's a seal left by the Jin clan in the bodies of those Berserk Wolves. You're saying that you want me to help you save those Berserk Wolves?" Ningyu frowned. "That's right." The ferocious Berserk Wolf nodded. "Although I know that it's a difficult matter, we only have you as our relative in the Pellet Formation continent, so we can only ask for your help. Actually, there's still a chance." After taking a deep breath, Ningyu said, "You two hide your aura first, and then stay in this tent. Don't leave without my permission." "Understood." The ferocious Berserk Wolf and the scarred Berserk Wolf replied in unison. "I know what I'm doing. You can rest assured." Ningyu gave Mu Ping and the scarred Berserk Wolf a look before leaving the tent. Despite their unwillingness, Mu Ping and Mu Hua still followed behind Ningyu and walked out of the tent. "What are we going to do?" After leaving the tent, Mu Ping asked cautiously, fearing that he might anger Ningyu. If he angered Ningyu, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Nothing much. We're just taking a stroll in the Eastern Army." Ningyu stopped in his tracks and said, "Remember, don't expose our relationship in the Eastern Army. From now on, the two of you are my masters. I'll follow behind you. Our masters have already accepted you as a disciple. According to seniority, we can only be your senior brothers. We can't be your masters." Mu Ping and Mu Hua cried. They were not fools. Not long ago, Meng Quan's attitude towards Ningyu was clear to them. Although Meng Quan didn't accept Ningyu as his disciple, they believed that it wouldn't be long before Meng Quan accepted Ningyu as his disciple. Isn't that the dark-faced man? Why is he so close to Master Mu Ping and the others? Only a few people knew what had happened in the hall. Therefore, when the Eastern Army saw Ning Yu walking together with Mu Ping and the others, they were a little confused. After all, in the Eastern Army, Mu Ping and Mu Hua's positions were transcendent, below only one person and above tens of thousands. In the past, many people had tried to get close to Mu Ping and the others, but without exception, all of them had failed. The fact that the black-faced man could walk so close to Mu Ping and the others naturally caused everyone to exclaim in surprise. You don't even know about this? Is the village connected to the internet? A martial artist who knew the black-faced man curled his lips and said disdainfully. The black-faced man and the long-haired man left the Eastern Army and went to help Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua's search for the Earth Dragon Grass. This matter has already caused a hubbub. This time, the black-faced man and the long-haired man were high and mighty for a while. I heard that the long-haired man obtained a large number of Emperor-grade essence crystals. All those who were on good terms with him got quite a number of Emperor-grade essence crystals. What are they high and mighty for? Isn't it just searching for Earth Dragon Grass? If it were me, I can definitely find even more Earth Dragon Grass. Some people were envious, and there were naturally people who were dissatisfied. All in all, the black-faced man and the long-haired man were already considered famous in the Eastern Army and gradually became known by many people. That's right. These people's discussions naturally could not escape Ning Yu's keen perception. Ning Yu did not get angry. On the contrary, he was very satisfied. This was the effect that Ning Yu wanted. After another period of time, that Jin family powerhouse would bring the bloodthirsty Mad Wolf pack to the Eastern Army. Ning Yu wanted to make use of this opportunity to intercept them at the Eastern Army's entrance. Whoosh! Time flew. Not long after, several bloodthirsty mad wolves appeared at the Eastern Army's entrance. Let's go. This was the moment that Ning Yu had been waiting for. He stomped his feet on the ground and quickly rushed towards the Eastern Army's entrance. Although Mu Ping and Mu Hua did not want to get involved in this mess, they had no choice but to lower their heads. They followed closely behind Ning Yu. Ning Yu's guess was right. The Eastern Army's entrance was currently surrounded by many bloodthirsty mad wolves. And in front of the bloodthirsty mad wolves, there were 3 cultivators. One of them was a middle-aged man dressed in black, with a crew cut and a calm aura. Jin family's peak 9th grade Earth Sovereign Expert, Jin Kitchen. On both sides of Jin Kitchen stood a young cultivator. The cultivation of these 2 young cultivators could not be considered too high. They were only first-grade mortal sovereigns. However, their auras were restrained and their faces were as calm as an ancient well. Obviously, they were experts among experts. Tell your leader, Meng Quan, to come out. Tell him that the Jin family has come for an appointment. Jin Kitchen displayed his powerful aura and suddenly pressed down on the cultivators guarding the Eastern Army's entrance. He said in a deep voice, "I'll give you 3 minutes to prepare a shelter for these bloodthirsty mad wolves behind me. Otherwise, don't blame me if they run wild inside." The strongest cultivator guarding the Eastern Army's entrance was He Ping, a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign. This was supposed to be a good job, but who would have thought that he would encounter a tough one today? Hurry up and inform the leader. I'll stall here. He Ping said to the cultivators beside him in a low voice. Whoosh! Whoosh! Hearing He Ping's words, 2 cultivators quickly moved and rushed towards the central hall of the Eastern Army. 3 minutes later, the 2 cultivators returned with sullen faces and said, "Supervisor the leader seems to be in seclusion." No matter how he yelled, no one responded. Time's up. Jin Kitchen did not care about the 2 cultivators' argument. He raised his right hand and coldly said, "All bloodthirsty mad wolves, listen up. Charge in. I'll see who dares." At this moment, Ning Yu and the others happened to be passing by. Under Ning Yu's order, Mu Ping and Mu Hua instantly flew into the air and shouted in unison. This is the Eastern Army's restricted area. The leader said that anyone who dares to trespass will be killed without mercy. Mu Ping and Mu Hua used all their strength to shout the words "killed without mercy" in order to attract the attention of the entire Eastern Army. As expected, their words were very effective. All the experts of the Eastern Army, whether in seclusion or sleeping, woke up and rushed towards the entrance. 2 8th-grade Earth sovereigns. Gene Kitchen's eyes emitted a cold light as his gaze fell on Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Since he was invited to the Eastern Army with the bloodthirsty Mad Wolves, Gene Kitchen had naturally investigated the situation here. He knew very well that Mu Ping and Mu Hua were Meng Quan's prized disciples. Since Mu Ping and Mu Hua had appeared, he had to be serious. Chapter 1487. Chapter 1487. Chapter 1487. Stir up trouble, Humph. I am Gene Kitchen. I was invited by your leader, Meng Quan, to bring the bloodthirsty Mad Wolf army to help you. Who dares to stop me? Gene Kitchen coldly snorted as he took a step forth. His pinnacle 9th-grade sovereign aura was unleashed and pressed towards Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Pucci. Mu Ping and Mu Hua were, after all, only 8th-grade Earth sovereigns. So even if the two of them joined forces, they still couldn't resist Gene Kitchen's pressure. Dark red blood spurted from their mouths. Mu Ping and Mu Hua's faces were ashen, drained of all color. Get out of my way. Gene Kitchen lifted his right leg and kicked at Mu Ping. Gene Kitchen's kick was powerful and heavy, containing a terrifying force. Once Mu Ping was kicked, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. Something's wrong. Seeing that Gene Kitchen wasn't afraid at all and was using his full strength to attack Mu Ping, Ning Yu's expression became serious. He felt that things weren't so simple. Under normal circumstances, if Gene Kitchen was only a pinnacle 9th-grade Earth sovereign, he definitely wouldn't dare to cause trouble here. Could it be that this Gene Kitchen is a heavenly supreme, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Thinking of this, Ning Yu's expression became extremely solemn. If Gene Kitchen was a sky supreme, then his promise to the bloodthirsty berserk wolf wouldn't be easy to fulfill. Facing a 9th-grade Earth sovereign, Ning Yu had a chance of success. After all, Gene Yi was still in the Ascension Sovereign's pagoda. When necessary, he could have Gene Yi suddenly appear and give Gene Kitchen a fatal blow. But now, Ning Yu felt that things were very tricky. Since you're here, why don't you come out? Just as Ning Yu was secretly pondering, a powerful voice resounded throughout the entire Eastern Army. Meng Quan, without a doubt, the martial artist who uttered this voice was precisely Meng Quan. Kacha! Not long after Meng Quan's voice fell, the space above Ning Yu's group suddenly split open. Then, a figure appeared out of thin air and charged towards Meng Quan at an extremely terrifying speed. Rumble! The two collided, and Meng Quan and the figure in the void simultaneously retreated. In this attack, no one could do anything to the other. Let's talk inside. Meng Quan shouted out in a low voice before tearing space apart and vanishing. The expert in the void did not hesitate and directly chased after Meng Quan. I'll say this one last time. Are you going to move or not? At the entrance of the Eastern Army, Gene Kitchen looked at Mu Ping and Mu Hua, who were blocking his way, and said coldly. Because of the sudden change, Gene Kitchen stopped. Now that Meng Quan and that expert from the Gene clan had disappeared together, Gene Kitchen no longer had any apprehensions. Gene Kitchen was very clear that in the huge Eastern Army, besides Meng Quan, no one was his match. The reason why he didn't attack Mu Ping and Mu Hua right away was because he was afraid of Meng Quan's strength. One must know that the Gene clan's expert was an initial phase heavenly sovereign, while Meng Quan was only a quasi-heavenly sovereign. For Meng Quan to be able to fight to a draw against the strongest expert of the Gene clan was enough to prove Meng Quan's strength and potential. This, Mu Ping did not answer immediately. Instead, his gaze shifted and looked at Ning Yu. If Ning Yu didn't let him let Gene Kitchen into the Eastern Army, he definitely wouldn't dare. Let them in and arrange a place for them to stay. Ning Yu didn't want to fight with Gene Kitchen and the others here. Not to mention whether they could win or not. Even if they could, it would be a matter of both sides suffering. Since Gene Kitchen and the others stayed in the Eastern Army, Ning Yu had a chance to rescue the bloodthirsty Mad Wolves under their control. This way, please. Mu Ping's expression was cold as he said to the warriors guarding the entrance in a deep voice, "All of you, get out of the way. Make a large space for them." Whoosh! Under Mu Ping's order, The people in the Eastern Army moved and scattered. Jean Kitchen led the many bloodthirsty mad wolves and swaggered into the Eastern Army. When we start fighting with Giant Shield City, will these bloodthirsty mad wolves be at the forefront? It's hard to say. The cultivation of these bloodthirsty mad wolves isn't low. If they fight as the vanguard, it should save us a lot of trouble. It's a bit unrealistic to think about this right now. Let's wait and see. In the Eastern Army, many warriors gave way for fear of being targeted by Jean Kitchen. As long as Meng Quan didn't come out, Jean Kitchen was the strongest in the Eastern Army. No one wanted to touch this eyebrow. Under Mu Ping's arrangement, Jean Kitchen and the many bloodthirsty mad wolves occupied the best area of the Eastern Army. The warriors in that area were forced to leave and crowded with others. Inside the huge tent, Jean Kitchen, the Jean family's 2 Grade 1 Earth Supremes, and even Mu Ping and Ningyu were inside. It wasn't that Mu Ping and the others wanted to come in. They were ordered by Jean Kitchen. I will stay in the Eastern Army for 2 days. During these 2 days, all the expenses of the bloodthirsty mad wolves will be borne by the Eastern Army. Jean Kitchen went straight to the point. These bloodthirsty mad wolves don't cost much, about 100,000 Emperor Grade Yuan crystals a day. What? Hearing Jean Kitchen's words, Mu Ping almost spat out a mouthful of blood. 100,000 Emperor Grade Yuan crystals a day? Why don't you just rob a bank? Didn't you hear me? I'll say it again. These bloodthirsty mad wolves need 100,000 Emperor Grade Yuan crystals a day. Jean Kitchen shrugged his shoulders and said, I'll give you half an hour to prepare. After half an hour, I want to see 100,000 Emperor Grade Origin crystals. Otherwise, if these bloodthirsty mad wolves cause any commotion, it has nothing to do with me. Mu Ping wanted to lose his temper, but he didn't dare. He could only look at Ningyu, asking for help from Ningyu. The leader isn't here. We can't find 100,000 Emperor Grade Yuan crystals in half an hour. Ningyu's performance was stronger than Mu Ping's. He said directly, if you agree, we can pay 100,000 Emperor Grade Yuan crystals at our own expense for these bloodthirsty mad wolves. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Jean Kitchen was dumbfounded. He wanted 100,000 Emperor Grade Essence crystals. But what did this dark-faced, burly man in front of him say? Give him 100,000 Emperor Grade Yuan crystals. There was a huge difference between Emperor Grade Yuan crystals and Emperor Grade Yuan crystals. The dark-faced man clearly didn't want a hand over the Emperor Grade Yuan crystals. Elder, please calm down. Just when Jean Kitchen was about to lose his temper, the Grade 1 Earth Supreme beside him hurriedly said, since we want Emperor Grade Yuan crystals, we should show some strength. Otherwise, others will say that we're bullying the weak. Jean Kitchen frowned and said, you want to spar with the dark-faced man? I won't agree to this. We're guests from afar, so we should follow the host's wishes. Elder, it's not that I want to spar with him, but he wants to spar with me. I was forced to accept the challenge. The Grade 1 Earth Supreme shook his head and pretended to be wronged. Chapter 1488. Physical Strength. Ningyu didn't feel angry at the Grade 1 Earth Supreme martial artist and Jean Kitchen's words. Instead, he felt excited. Spar? Ningyu liked it very much. Rolling his eyes, Ningyu took a step forward and said, since someone is asking me to teach him a lesson, I have no choice but to obey. You. Being ridiculed by Ningyu, the Grade 1 Earth Supreme martial artist was very angry. This Grade 1 Earth Supreme martial artist was called Jin Yang. He could be ranked in the top 3 among the younger generation of the Jin clan. Usually, in the Jin family, Jin Yang was the center of attention. The younger generation of the Jin family, and even the older generation, did not dare to speak to him like this. How dare a black-faced man like you, who's only a first-grade Earth Supreme, talk to me like that? The furious Jin Yang stomped his right foot on the ground and was about to attack. Wait. However, just before Jin Yang made his move, Ningyu suddenly said, what do you want now? Jin Yang was stunned, his face expressionless. It's a fight, of course. There must be some stakes. Ningyu shrugged and said, what stakes do you want? Jin Yang said coldly. Ningyu didn't answer Jin Yang's words directly, but looked at Jean Kitchen. After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu said, Elder Jean, if I win, I want 10 bloodthirsty mad wolves. What? Ning Yu's words stunned Jean Kitchen for a moment. Then he said coldly, 10 bloodthirsty mad wolves? Are you sure you're not kidding me? Elder Jean, don't you have confidence in the genius of the Jean clan? Ningyu looked at Jean Kitchen and said calmly. Jean Kitchen didn't know what Ningyu was planning, so he restrained his anger and said, what if you lose? If I lose, I'll provide the bloodthirsty mad wolf with 2 days of consumption, which is 200,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Ningyu took out a storage pouch from his robe and shook it. There are 200,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals in there. If Jin Yang can defeat me, they will belong to you. No problem. Before Jean Kitchen could speak, Jin Yang rushed to say, I will let you know why flowers are so red. Deal. Jean Kitchen stared at Ningyu, trying to see what was different about Ningyu. Unfortunately, after looking at Ningyu for a few minutes, Jean Kitchen still found nothing. In the end, Jean Kitchen chose to give up and let Jin Yang and Ningyu exchange pointers first to probe Ningyu's strength. I can let you have 3 moves first. Jin Yang finally got the chance to teach Ningyu a lesson, so he was very excited. In his excitement, Jin Yang even wanted to let Ningyu have 3 moves first, because in Jin Yang's view, let alone 3 moves, even if he let Ningyu have 10 moves, Ningyu would not be able to defeat him. As you wish. Ningyu did not care so much. His feet stepped on the ground, and his body quickly swept out. A punch brought a violent Yuan energy gale, and before Jin Yang could react, it fiercely hit Jin Yang's chest. Bang! A crisp sound rang out. Jin Yang was like a kite with a broken string, flying straight to the back. Crack! Not long after, Jin Yang fell to the ground. Because his right arm hit the ground first, the strong support directly broke Jin Yang's arm. The sharp pain from his arm made Jin Yang squeal like a pig being slaughtered. Sorry, I may not need 3 moves. After 1 move, Ningyu said indifferently, according to our agreement, as long as I can defeat Jin Yang, you will give me 10 bloodthirsty mad wolves. The first sentence of Ningyu was directed at Jin Yang, and the second sentence, Ningyu was directed at Jean Kitchen. Jin Yang was so angry that his teeth were itching. The meaning of Ningyu's words was very clear. He looked down on him. He said that he would let Ningyu have 3 moves first, but in the end, he could not even resist 1 move. If this matter was spread to the Jin family, it was estimated that Jin Yang would lose all his face. Very good. Jean Kitchen's expression was indifferent as he said, according to the agreement, I indeed need to give you 10 bloodthirsty mad wolves. But what I want to say is that the competition has always been 2 wins out of 3. Although Jin Yang lost, Jin Ku did not. I don't care about Jin Ku or In Ku. If you want to fight with me, you have to have some stakes. Ningyu shrugged. The stakes are the same. You can start now. Jean Kitchen said. Dong. As soon as Jean Kitchen's voice fell, Jin Ku took a step forward and stomped his right foot heavily on the ground. In the Jin family, although Jin Ku was not the most powerful genius, his strength was the strongest. Jin Ku's cultivation was only at the 1st grade Earth Supreme, but his strength was comparable to an ordinary 3rd grade Earth Supreme. I want to decide the winner with 1 move. Jin Ku was very smart. From the battle between Ningyu and Jin Yang, he knew that Ningyu was very strong, even stronger than him. Therefore, Jin Ku decided to decide the winner with 1 move against Ningyu. Well, as for what to compete with, Jin Ku had already thought about it. Taking a deep breath, Jin Ku said, this move, we can't use Yuan Qi or martial skills. We can only fight with pure physical strength. No problem. Physical strength is physical strength. As for how to fight with Jin Ku, Ningyu did not care at all. Whether it was physical strength, Yuan Qi, soul strength, or martial skills, Ningyu was fearless. Take this. Jin Ku did not waste any time. He directly attacked with pure physical strength towards Ningyu. Jin Ku clenched his right fist, and green veins popped out. Ha ha ha! Competing with Jin Ku in terms of physical strength? Even if you don't die, you will be crippled. Seeing that Ningyu wanted to compete with Jin Ku in terms of physical strength, Jin Yang threw his head back and laughed excitedly. Jin Yang had lost face when he was easily defeated by Jin Ku. Now that Jin Ku was going to regain his face, Jin Yang was naturally very excited. Don't you think it's too early for you to be happy? Ningyu completely ignored Jin Ku, who was charging towards him. He curled his lips and said to Jin Yang, "This is the Eastern Army, not the Jin family." Humph. Even if this is not the Jin family, you will still be defeated by Jin Ku. Jin Yang said with a cold snort, "You still dare to be distracted when fighting with me. I will smash you with one punch." A cold smile appeared on the corner of Jin Ku's mouth. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Ningyu. His fist containing terrifying power smashed towards Ningyu's head fiercely. The power of this punch was very strong. If Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit, his head would probably explode directly. There are many martial artists who can smash me with one punch, but it's a pity that it is not destined to be you. Looking at Jin Ku, Ningyu's expression was very calm. His right hand clenched into a fist and collided with Jin Ku's fist. Crack! Ah! Two fists collided. Two figures sounded. It was obvious that the first crisp cracking sound came from Jin Ku's fist breaking, and the second figure was Jin Ku squealing like a pig being slaughtered. Swoosh! Such a change was clearly out of everyone's expectations in the tent. Chapter 1489. Chapter 1489. Chapter 1489 Sparta. Sorry, I won by luck. After defeating Jin Ku, Ningyu did not beat around the bush with Jin Kitchen and said directly, 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves, can I go pick now? Eastern Army. Meng Quan, you really gave me enough surprises. Jin Kitchen's mouth raised slightly and said, I believe your position in the Eastern Army should be very high. I wonder what your relationship with Meng Quan is. Before coming, Jin Kitchen had investigated. Meng Quan came from the Alchemy Union and only had 2 disciples, Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Now, a black-faced man appeared, not only strong, but Mu Ping and Mu Hua were also very respectful to him. And this could not help but arouse Jin Kitchen's suspicions. Ningyu said, I am from the Eastern Army. Meng Quan is the leader of the Eastern Army. What do you think our relationship is? Really a young hero. Come, I will take you to pick bloodthirsty mad wolves. Although Ningyu did not say it, Jin Kitchen had basically concluded. Ningyu and Meng Quan's relationship was very good, very good. Even, Ningyu was very likely Meng Quan's disciple. Elder, but seeing that Jin Kitchen was going to take Ningyu to pick bloodthirsty mad wolves, Jin Ku and Jin Yang opened their mouths, hesitating. No buts, you have to accept the loss. Jin Kitchen did not look back, but waved his hand and said, Remember, you are from the Jin family. You have to win fair and square and lose fair and square. Kaka. Although Jin Kitchen did not say anything on the surface, Jin Ku and the others were very clear. At this time, Jin Kitchen was very angry. Clenching their fists, Jin Ku and Jin Yang secretly made up their minds. No matter what, they had to teach Ningyu a lesson. Roar! Ningyu and Jin Kitchen quickly arrived at the area where the bloodthirsty mad wolves were. Dozens of bloodthirsty mad wolves howled together. That kind of momentum was very frightening. 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves, go pick yourself. Jin Kitchen pointed at the pack of bloodthirsty mad wolves in front of him and said, Once you've picked a satisfactory bloodthirsty mad wolf, you can directly take them away. No need to tell me. After leaving behind these words, Jin Kitchen turned around and left. He did not want to stay here for even a moment longer. Seeing Jin Kitchen leave, Jin Ku and Jin Yang looked at each other, and they both saw a little helplessness in each other's eyes. Fiercely glaring at Ningyu, they followed behind Jin Kitchen and disappeared. Are we really going in? Mu Ping and Mu Hua's expressions turned grave as they looked at the howling, bloodthirsty mad wolves. Let them enter the pack of bloodthirsty mad wolves? They did not have the guts to do so. The dozens of berserk bloodthirsty wolves were all Earth sovereigns, and there were even 6th grade Earth sovereigns among them. Even if the 2 of them were pinnacle 8th grade Earth sovereigns, they were still a little fearful. If there was an 8th grade Earth sovereign amongst the pack of bloodthirsty wild wolves, wouldn't they be doomed if they went in? The two of you guard outside. Without my permission, don't let anyone in. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu moved his feet and entered the pack of berserk bloodthirsty mad wolves in front of Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Seeing how daring Ningyu was, Mu Ping and Mu Hua couldn't help trembling. Ningyu is only an initial 9th grader sovereign. Entering the pack of berserk bloodthirsty mad wolves was simply courting death. Russell, Mu Ping, and Mu Hua were right. Just as Ningyu stepped into the pack of berserk bloodthirsty mad wolves, a 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm bloodthirsty mad wolf blocked his path. This berserk bloodthirsty mad wolf was huge, and it used its tail to sweep Ningyu up and threw him into the pack. Whoosh! Like a kite with its string cut, Ningyu streaked across the sky and was instantly engulfed by the pack of wolves. Hiss! Mu Ping and Mu Hua gasped at the sight of Ningyu being engulfed by the pack of wolves. In their opinion, Ningyu was probably done for. Human. In the middle of the pack, a berserk, bloodthirsty mad wolf that wasn't particularly large stared at Ningyu and asked in a deep voice, "Why did you trespass here?" Gene Kitchen is indeed a sly old fox. Ningyu had long guessed what Gene Kitchen was thinking, but he was still a little angry when his guess was confirmed. On the surface, he said that he could choose 20 berserk, bloodthirsty mad wolves, but he didn't say anything. From the looks of it, Gene Kitchen had left him with a big problem. It's very simple. I want to take 20 berserk, bloodthirsty mad wolves. Ningyu knew that berserk, bloodthirsty mad wolves were usually straightforward. So he also said, "The 20 berserk, bloodthirsty mad wolves I want to take will follow me for 3 days, and then they will regain their freedom." Regain their freedom? Ha ha ha. The berserk, bloodthirsty mad wolf who spoke just now threw his head back and laughed wildly. "We all have a seal that old fox Gene Kitchen left in our bodies. You say we can regain our freedom, but can you break the seal?" "I have no way." Ningyu's keen perception discovered that Gene Kitchen was still looking around. Under this premise, Ningyu definitely wouldn't tell the truth. Ningyu first shook his head, then changed the topic. "However, just because I can't do anything doesn't mean the leader can't. You may not know the leader's ability. He is a half-step Sky Supreme and a peak 9th grade alchemist." The leader vaguely said that as long as you are willing to follow me, he will do everything possible to break the seal in your bodies. Buzz, buzz. Not far away in the void, the corner of Gene Kitchen's mouth curled up. So that's how it is. It's not that easy to study the Gene family's sealing technique. The reason why Gene Kitchen didn't leave was because he wanted to see what Ningyu was up to. Now that he discovered Ningyu's motive, Gene Kitchen naturally didn't want to stay any longer. Ningyu was backed by Meng Quan, and Gene Kitchen didn't want to offend Meng Quan because of Ningyu. Although Meng Quan was only the leader of the Eastern Army, he had the mysterious powerhouse of the Flower Palace and the Alchemy Union behind him. Our main objective is to take down Master Xingyun and take the Ascension Pagoda. Gene Kitchen's eyes flashed coldly as he tore space apart and disappeared. Through the investigation, the Gene family finally knew where Master Xingyun and the rest were. After knowing the news, the Gene family immediately contacted the Emperor Palace. The Gene family contacted Meng Quan, the leader of the Eastern Army, while the Emperor Palace contacted Shido Venerable, the leader of the Western Army, to encircle Giant Shield City. Is that true? Hearing Ningyu's words, the bloodthirsty wild wolf raised its brows. Words are no proof. It's not impossible to pick 20 bloodthirsty wild wolves from among us, but you have to break the seal in one of them first. Only then will we believe you. Pardon me for asking, but how should I address you? Ningyu asked. Bada. The bloodthirsty mad wolf, which wasn't too big in size, said, "I have to remind you that we don't have that much time to waste with you here. Break the seal in his body in half an hour." Chapter 1490. Breaking the seal. Ningyu looked in the direction of Bada's palm. Not far away, there was a petite, bloodthirsty mad wolf lying on the ground, looking extremely weak. Such a low level of cultivation. Ningyu frowned, slightly surprised. Among the entire pack of bloodthirsty mad wolves, only this one had the lowest level of cultivation. This bloodthirsty mad wolf wasn't even an Earth Supreme, a peak ninth grade human Supreme. This bloodthirsty mad wolf's cultivation was only slightly higher than Ningyu's, reaching the peak ninth grade human Supreme. You have 29 minutes. Bada's expression was indifferent, and his tone was emotionless. Ningyu stood where he was and made a move that made Bada's face turn ashen. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and closed his eyes. Ningyu's action directly infuriated Bada. I gave you 30 minutes to prove yourself, but you didn't do anything and just came here to rest. You need to give me an explanation. Even though he was furious, Bada still chose to give Ningyu a chance. No matter what, Ningyu was Meng Quan's man. He didn't want to offend Meng Quan because of Ningyu. Ningyu slowly opened his eyes and said solemnly, I need a quiet area where no one can disturb me. Approved. Following Bada's words, the surrounding bloodthirsty mad wolves moved, surrounding Ningyu and the petite bloodthirsty mad wolf in the middle. As for Bada himself, he went to the front of the pack and personally guarded them. Although Bada was guarding the front of the wolf pack, his senses were focused on Ningyu and the petite bloodthirsty mad wolf. Others might not know the identity of the petite bloodthirsty mad wolf, but he knew very well. The petite bloodthirsty mad wolf was a rare talent that only appeared once in 1,000 years. As long as it was given enough time, it would definitely shine in the future and bring the bloodthirsty mad wolf clan to an extremely prosperous state. But now, this prodigy of the bloodthirsty mad wolf clan had been sealed by the Jin family. No matter what, as long as there was a chance to break the seal, Bada would definitely give it a try. Xiao. Ningyu couldn't care less. His soul force gushed out and directly entered the werewolf genius body to probe. Something's not right. The more he probed, the more serious Ningyu's expression became. Ningyu had a way to break the seal within the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. However, as long as Ningyu broke the seal in this bloodthirsty mad wolf's body, Jin Kitchen would be the first to know. As expected of an old fox, Ningyu frowned, trying to think of a countermeasure. In the current situation, there was no way to break the seal in this bloodthirsty wild wolf's body. He could only break the seal in the other bloodthirsty wild wolves first to gain Bada's trust. Come here. Ningyu grabbed a bloodthirsty berserk wolf beside him and sent his soul force into its body, beginning to break it apart. Drip. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Voila! Just a while ago, Bada had crossed the pack of wolves and arrived before the werewolf genius, starting his inspection. Are you messing with me? Realizing that the seal in the werewolf genius body was still intact, Bada's face turned ashen. He felt insulted. The seal in the werewolf genius body was still intact and had not been broken at all. In other words, Ningyu had not helped at all. He had been messing around the whole time. Wong Wong. Bada released his aura and pressed down on Ningyu. Elder, please calm down. Bada's aura had just arrived in front of Ningyu when a burly, bloodthirsty mad wolf beside Ningyu shouted, The seal in my body has been broken. What? The words of the burly, bloodthirsty mad wolf caused Bada's body to tremble. He could not help but say that again? Forget it. I'll do it myself. Bada's powerful perception surged out and hurriedly entered the burly, bloodthirsty mad wolf's body to inspect. The more he inspected, the more excited Bada became. Success! The seal in the burly, bloodthirsty mad wolf's body had been broken. 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. Ningyu knew that Bada trusted him, so he said directly, It would be best if they are strong and have high cultivation. Wait a moment. Bada suppressed the excitement in his heart and began to personally select the bloodthirsty mad wolves for Ningyu. Before long, Bada had selected 20 strong, bloodthirsty mad wolves for Ningyu and brought them to Ningyu. From now on, you will follow him wholeheartedly and listen to his orders. Bada pointed at Ningyu and said in a deep voice, His words are my words. His orders are my orders. Understood. The 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves replied in unison. Elder Ba, thank you. Ningyu cupped his fists at Bada, then waved his hand and said, Come, follow me back. Russell, with Ningyu at the front and the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves at the back, They left in a grandiose manner. Elder, why did you get the Saint Wolf to follow him? When Ning Yu's party left, a 6th grade Earth Sovereign Realm bloodthirsty mad wolf immediately said, "The Saint Wolf is the hope of our bloodthirsty mad wolf clan. It's fine, I know what I'm doing." Recalling his conversation with Ning Yu, Bada waved his hand. "From now on, no one is allowed to talk about this matter. Otherwise, I'll kill without mercy." When the words "kill without mercy" came out of Bada's mouth, the temperature in this region instantly dropped by a few degrees. The reason why Bada was able to become the leader of this pack of bloodthirsty berserk wolves was because his cultivation was extremely terrifying. He wasn't a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, nor was he an 8th grade Earth Sovereign. He was a genuine pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. Woo! Ningyu had just brought the 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves with him. Before he could return to his tent, the sound of a bugle horn resounded throughout the entire Eastern Army. "Not good, it's the bugle horn." Hearing that sound, Mu Ping and Mu Hua, who were beside Ningyu, immediately said, "Leader and that expert from the Jin family must have discussed it. They're going to attack Giant Shield City now? They're going to attack Giant Shield City now?" Ningyu's face turned extremely unsightly. He had just brought the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves away, and he still hadn't broken the seals in their bodies. If they were to attack now, the bloodthirsty mad wolves would definitely be at the front. Casualties were unavoidable in a battle between two armies. At that time, Ningyu definitely wouldn't have the time to care about them. Actually, there's no need to worry. According to the agreement, our Eastern Army will be the last to attack, while the other 3 armies will be the vanguard. As if he could read Ningyu's mind, Mu Ping said, "Our mission is to wait for Giant Shield City to be breached, then we will go in and plunder, taking all the treasures in Giant Shield City." Rustle. Suddenly, 2 silhouettes appeared in the sky above the Eastern Army. Without a doubt, one of them was the heavenly sovereign of the Jin family, while the other was the leader of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan. Chapter 1491. Chapter 1491. Chapter 1491. The Great Army is bearing down on the border rumble. As Mu Ping's voice faded, the entire Eastern Army began to move. Even though the other 3 armies were the vanguard, and the Eastern Army was only the reserve army, a great battle was imminent. Everyone's expressions were grave, and they did not want anything to go wrong. Even Mu Ping and Mu Hua chose to bid farewell to Ningyu and leave to make preparations. The 2 of them had thought things through thoroughly. The people of Giant Shield City were not fools. They knew that they could not resist the encirclement of the 4 armies, so they had to think of another way. Besieging and killing the top-notch experts of the 4 armies was an excellent method. The 2 of them were peak 8th grade Earth Sovereigns, so they would most likely become the targets of the Giant Shield City's experts. They had to be extremely careful. Therefore, they did not dare to slack off in the slightest and hurriedly prepared their trump cards. Half an hour should be enough to break the seal on 2 or 3 bloodthirsty berserk wolves. Ningyu knew the severity of the problem. He brought the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves back to the tent and began to break the seals for them. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. When the 31st minute arrived, Ningyu slowly withdrew his hand from the back of a bloodthirsty berserk wolf and let out a long sigh. 5 of them. Within half an hour, Ningyu had broken the seals within the bodies of the 5 bloodthirsty mad wolves. However, just to be safe, Ningyu left some restrictions in their bodies. You may know a man's face, but not his heart. Ningyu did not want to help them break the seal only to fall into their trap. Of course, these 5 bloodthirsty mad wolves didn't know that Ningyu had left a restriction in their bodies. They were very grateful to Ningyu. Voila! Half an hour had just passed, and the Eastern Army's martial artists began to move. The army set out, the earth quaked, and the mountains shook. The entire army of the Eastern Route rushed toward Giant Shield City in an orderly manner. It was not just the Eastern Army. The other 3 armies also began to advance towards Giant Shield City. Meanwhile, Giant Shield City, South Gate, City Tower. The atmosphere here was somewhat oppressive and even very depressing. Grandmaster Xing Yun, Fairy Yun Shi, Spiritual Master GMO, and the other experts of Giant Shield City all had ugly expressions on their faces. They had received intelligence that the 4 armies of Hundred Flower City had already set off. In half an hour at most, the 4 armies would arrive at the city. At that time, whether or not they could hold on was still unknown. Did you find Ningyu? Although the 4 armies were about to arrive, Master Xingyun's focus wasn't on it. Master Xingyun was concerned about Ningyu. Recently, his soul perception had searched Giant Shield City several times. Unfortunately, he hadn't been able to find Ningyu even once. Master Xingyun cared about Ningyu for 2 reasons. First, Ningyu had the Transcendence Supremacy Pagoda, while he had the Limitless Supremacy Pagoda. The difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Secondly, there were people from Nebula Academy in the Tower of Ascension. If anything happened to Ningyu, it would be disastrous for Nebula Academy. Because of these 2 reasons, Master Xingyun almost went crazy. If it wasn't for Fairy Yun Shi and Spiritual Master G.M.O. holding him back, Master Xingyun would have left Giant Shield City alone to look for Ningyu. Not yet. Beside Master Xingyun, Fairy Yun, she shook her head and said, "The entire Giant Shield City has been turned upside down, but there's still no sign of Ningyu." Perhaps Fairy Yun Shi didn't continue speaking because even she wasn't very sure. Not long ago, they had discovered some spatial fluctuations at the North Gate. At that time, they suspected that it was the people from Hundred Flower City playing tricks. Now, it seemed that the martial artist who caused the spatial fluctuations was most likely Ningyu. Don't worry, I've already settled Ningyu's friends. If Giant Shield City is unfortunately breached, they will be moved to a safe place immediately. Fairy Yun Shi continued. What we need to do next is to defend the city gate. With the supreme killing formation, it won't be a problem for us to hold out for 3 days. Although Fairy Yun, she said it very naturally. Everyone knew that under the joint attack of the 4 armies, the supreme killing formation of Giant Shield City would not be able to hold out for 3 days. They saw through it, but didn't say it out loud. Ever since they decided to stay, they were prepared to fight to the death with Giant Shield City. In the blink of an eye, half an hour passed. Rumble. Outside Giant Shield City, smoke billowed and dust filled the sky. The 4 armies rushed towards the north and south of Giant Shield City in an orderly manner. Among them, the Western Army was the vanguard, the Southern and Northern armies guarded the middle, and the Eastern Army guarded the rear. Hiss! The billowing smoke caused everyone in Giant Shield City to involuntarily suck in a breath of cold air. How could they fight? Be it in terms of cultivation or momentum, the 4 armies of Hundred Flower City completely crushed the martial artists of Giant Shield City. Fortunately, Giant Shield City had the supreme killing formation. Otherwise, the people of Giant Shield City would probably open the city gates and surrender. Stop! The 4 armies of Hundred Flower City moved in unison and in a very orderly manner. A figure floated in midair in front of the Western Army. The figure raised his right hand and announced loudly, "Rest here. Without my order, nobody's allowed to attack Giant Shield City." Unquestionably, the figure was Shido the Venerable. Shido the Venerable flashed and arrived in front of Giant Shield City in the blink of an eye. "I'll give you 3 minutes to activate the supreme killing formation and open the city gates to let us in. Otherwise, we'll massacre the entire city." Whoosh! As Shido the Venerable uttered the word, "massacre the entire city," the temperature in the area seemed to have dropped by a few degrees. The faces of the guards on the watchtower of Giant Shield City's southern gate turned ghastly pale, and some of them were thinking of retreating. The enemy was strong while they were weak, and they were outnumbered. The defensive battle was not on the same level at all. Even if they could repel the first wave of attacks from the Western Army, there were still the Southern Army and the Northern Army, as well as the most terrifying force. The supreme killing formation would not last long if the 4 armies fought one after another. Shido the Venerable, the palace master treated you well in the past, but I didn't expect you to be such an ingrate. Do you have the guts to fight me before the 2 armies fight? Shido the Venerable laughed coldly. Haha, why not? Shido the Venerable laughed wildly and said proudly, "A wise man submits to circumstances. The palace master's fate has come to an end, and you'll only die if you follow her. Now, I'll give you a chance. As long as you submit to me, I'll recommend you to join the 100 Flowers Demon Palace." 100 Flowers Demon Palace? Shido the Venerable was stunned. That's right. The leader has complete control over the 100 Flowers Palace. It's no longer called the 100 Flowers Palace, but the 100 Flowers Demon Palace. Our master is the 100 Flowers Demon Master. Chapter 1492. Chapter 1492. Chapter 1492. Fighting at the front line. If you want to fight, then let's fight. What's with all this nonsense? No matter what Shido the Venerable One said, he could not shake Master Devil's determination to fight. GMO was not a fledgling. On the contrary, he knew Shido the Venerable very well. Even if he promised Shido the Venerable One, the latter would not fulfill his promise. All right, since you're seeking death, I'll fulfill your wish. Shido the Venerable knew that Master GMO would not compromise, so he tore the void apart and charged toward Giant Shield City's city tower. Shio, seeing as Shido the Venerable One was getting closer to him, Master GMO stomped his feet and flashed away. Rumble. In the void in front of Giant Shield City, Shido the Venerable and Master GMO were engaged in a fierce battle. In terms of cultivation, Shido Venerable was a quasi-heavenly supreme, while GMO Venerable was only a pinnacle 9th grader supreme. Nevertheless, Master Devil's combat power was not weaker than Shido the Venerable One. The two of them battled in midair, sending shockwaves in all directions. Chi-Chi. Since Giant Shield City was protected by a peerless killing formation, the aftermath of the battle between Taoist Master GMO and the others did not affect Giant Shield City much. On the other hand, the West Road Army was the one who was affected. Fairy Yin Shi, something isn't right. On the Giant Shield City's gate tower, Master Xing Yun had a grave look on his face as he watched the fight between Saint Master GMO and Shido the Venerable. Shido the Venerable led his army to the border, but instead of attacking, he fought with Master Renemo here. There must be a reason behind this abnormality. I also feel that something is wrong. Could it be that they are playing some sort of trick? Not only did Grandmaster Xing Yun notice the clues, even Yun, she felt that something was wrong. If I'm not wrong, the higher-ups among them should be secretly plotting to break the peerless killing formation. Not good. Luring the tiger away from the mountain. Master Xing Yun frowned slightly. Before he could finish his sentence, his expression changed drastically. Although the peerless killing formation was terrifying, the northern gate was the weakest link, because there was a small array eye there. As long as a large number of experts attacked together, forcefully attacking the small formation eye, there was a very high chance that the peerless killing formation would be broken. Now that Shido the Venerable One was fighting Master GMO, he was clearly buying time for the other powerhouses. Go! Thinking of this, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun, she tore the void and rushed towards the north gate. Mu Ping, Mu Hua, where's your master? At the same time, in one of the tents of the Eastern Army. Ningyu looked at the two cultivators in front of him and said in a deep voice, "Is there something important that you're hiding from me?" Ningyu was very angry at this time. He released his keen perception and discovered that there was no sign of Meng Quan in the entire Eastern Army. Moreover, not only was there no sign of Meng Quan, even the experts of the Jin clan, as well as the dozens of bloodthirsty madwolves that Jin Kitchen brought along, had disappeared into thin air. To be able to make these bloodthirsty wolves disappear under the eyes of Ningyu, Meng Quan must have some kind of terrifying magical treasure on him. We don't know either. Mu Ping and Mu Hua were on the verge of tears. The two of them really didn't know what was going on. Before Meng Quan left, he only told them to stabilize the Eastern Army and remember not to cause any trouble. Now that Ningyu asked them, they could only be in the dark and unable to answer. Not telling the truth. Ningyu snorted coldly and immediately activated the soul power in Mu Ping and Mu Hua's bodies. As soon as Ningyu activated his soul power, Mu Ping and Mu Hua screamed in pain. Their lives were in Ning Yu's hands. If Ning Yu wanted them to live, they would live. If Ning Yu wanted them to die, they would die immediately. Before Master left, he told us to stabilize the Eastern Army and not to cause any trouble. Under the threat of death, Mu Ping spilled the beans. I see. Ning Yu frowned slightly and murmured, "If I'm not wrong, all the experts of the four armies must be plotting on how to break the killing formation." His eyes darting, Ning Yu instantly came up with a countermeasure. "I'll leave 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves to follow you. Do something for me." Ning Yu's soul power surged, and a message was transmitted to Mu Ping and Mu Hua's minds. Hearing this, Mu Ping and Mu Hua sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Ning Yu actually wanted to do this? This was taking drastic measures. The long-haired man will cooperate with you on this matter. All you need to do is wait for my order and then act according to plan. After giving the order, Ning Yu's figure flashed and quietly left the Eastern Army. Beside Ning Yu, Ma Qianshan followed closely. Ma Qianshan lost to Ning Yu in an alchemy bet and was controlled by Meng Quan. In the next 3 days, he had to obey Ning Yu unconditionally. Leaving some distance away from the Eastern Army, Ning Yu directly stopped and stared at Ma Qianshan, saying, "You return to the Western Army now and do something for me." Ning Yu did not beat around the bush and briefed Ma Qianshan on the matter that he instructed Mu Ping and the rest. Now that the peak powerhouses of the four armies had already left, it was the best time to implement the plan. Missing this opportunity, there would be no more. What Ning Yu was doing was also taking a gamble. If the gamble was right, he could stop the advance of the four armies. If the gamble failed, at most, he would just walk away. Hearing Ning Yu's plan, Ma Qianshan's eyes revealed a hint of horror. Ning Yu was actually so vicious? Once this plan of Ning Yu's succeeded, it would bring about a devastating blow to the Western Army. But people had no choice but to lower their heads under the eaves. In order to survive, Ma Qianshan could only do as Ning Yu said. Swoosh! His figure flashed, and Ma Qianshan instantly moved towards the Western Army. As for Ning Yu, he changed his direction and made a huge detour around Giant Shield City, circling to the northern gate of Giant Shield City. The weakest point of the Giant Shield City's peerless killing array was the small array eye at the northern gate. Back then, when Ning Yu left Giant Shield City, he had left from there. Now that Meng Quan and the rest wanted to break the peerless killing array, their first destination would definitely be there. There was no need to even think about it. There's indeed something strange. Not far from the northern gate of Giant Shield City, Ning Yu was hidden in the void with the help of space. Although he was hidden in the void, Ning Yu did not dare to be careless, because in the surroundings, Ning Yu felt at least a few terrifying auras. The owner of these auras was at least a 9th-grade Earth Supreme Realm cultivator. Swish! Swish! Not long after Ning Yu hid, 2 figures sped over from Giant Shield City. Without a doubt, these 2 figures were Fairy Yun Shi and Grandmaster Xingyan. After sensing the danger, the 2 of them did not stop and directly came to the northern gate. Let's see what they're going to do first. Ning Yu tried his best to hide in the void and did not choose to expose himself. Chapter 1493. Chapter 1493. Chapter 1493 Self-Destruct. Fortunately, they haven't started yet. Grandmaster Xing Yun released his soul force and observed his surroundings for a while. Then, he took a deep breath and said, "Protect me. I want to set up a defensive formation around this small formation core." A small formation, I was the weakest link of a peerless killing formation. Although he didn't know how the experts from 100 Flower City knew about it, Grandmaster Xing Yun knew very well that he had to protect this formation and not let it be broken. Only by protecting the small array core could the peerless killing array be guaranteed to not have any problems, thus buying enough time for Palatial Lord Centauria. Palatial Lord Centauria was using the soul attraction art. As long as he could buy her enough time, the mysterious expert in Centauria Palace would at least be severely injured. When that happened, Shido, the venerable one, and the others would surely lose their morale. All right. Fairy Yun, she knew how serious the problem was. She flicked her sleeves and took out her 100 Flowers fan. Holding the 100 Flower fan, Fairy Yun, she's expression was grave as she paid close attention to her surroundings. Rise! Grandmaster Xing Yun unleashed his powerful soul power and began to arrange a formation around the small formation core. Rumble. However, before Master Xing Yun could finish setting up the formation, there was a sudden change. Outside the north gate, several figures suddenly emerged. These figures attacked in unison, and their target was the void where the small formation core was located. Block. Fortunately, Yunshi Fairy waved her 100 Flower fan and blocked this fatal attack for Grandmaster Xing Yun. Otherwise, with Master Xing Yun's strength, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. After the first exchange, several figures appeared outside the north gate. Meng Quan, Jean Kitchen, Southern Dipper, the Venerable. In the void, Ning Yu's expression became extremely solemn. Even with Fairy Yunshi's 100 Flower fan, it would be difficult for her to defend against such a powerful lineup. I have to think of a way to give the Tower of Ascension to Grandmaster Xing Yun. Ning Yu's eyes turned as he thought of a countermeasure. With a 100 Flowers fan in hand, Fairy Yunshi's strength was equivalent to that of a Sky Supreme. If Grandmaster Xing Yun had the Tower of Ascension, he would definitely be stronger than Fairy Yunshi. Block? How are you going to block it? Outside the north gate, the corners of Meng Quan's mouth curled up as he said coldly, "As long as we're willing, we can easily break this small formation eye. Who doesn't know how to boast? If you have the ability, then go ahead and break this small array eye." Fairy Yun, she was not someone who could be easily frightened. With a treasure like the 100 Flowers fan, she believed that Meng Quan and the others would not dare to barge in forcefully. The 100 Flowers fan was famous throughout the Pill Formation continent. If Meng Quan and the rest barged in, they would probably leave behind a few corpses. I know what you're thinking, but I'm sorry, we're well prepared this time. Meng Quan shrugged, and then he said in a clear voice, "Bada, send out 10 bloodthirsty mad wolves now, and let them charge at the small formation eyes one by one." As Meng Quan's voice rang out, the surrounding space gradually split open. Bada appeared with dozens of bloodthirsty mad wolves. Bada didn't listen to Meng Quan's instructions, but said coldly, "You have no right to order us." "They have no right to order you. But do I have the right to order you?" Meng Quan had yet to speak when Jean Kitchen beside him said coldly, "I'm ordering you guys right now. Charge at the formation eyes one by one, or else kill without mercy." Jean Kitchen, don't go too far. Bada didn't listen to Jean Kitchen's orders. His facial expression was very savage. Some time ago, the reason why Bada obeyed Jean Kitchen's orders was entirely because the wolf race genius was trapped. Now that the wolf race genius was rescued by Ningyu, Bada had no worries anymore. Bada even secretly gave the order that as long as Jean Kitchen pushed the wolves too far, they would self-detonate together and perish together with Jean Kitchen and the others. Going too far? I think you're courting death. Being slapped in the face by Bada in front of so many people, Jean Kitchen felt that face was irrelevant. His figure flashed out explosively. Jean Kitchen charged toward Bada at high speed. He wanted to teach Bada a lesson, let Bada know what was called a slave. In the process of advancing, Jean Kitchen urged the seal in Bada's body, making Bada's expression look extremely painful. "Fighting with me? You're still a little inexperienced." Seeing Bada's painful appearance, Jean Kitchen said proudly, "I'll give you the last, rumble." Just as Jean Kitchen was about to give an order to Bada, something extremely frightening happened. The body of the bloodthirsty mad wolf closest to him swelled up and suddenly exploded. This bloodthirsty mad wolf cultivation was at grade 5 Earth Supreme. Although the self-detonation of the bloodthirsty mad wolf didn't hurt Jean Kitchen, it rang an alarm bell for him. These bloodthirsty mad wolves had rebelled. Crash! While Jean Kitchen was resisting the self-detonation, many bloodthirsty mad wolves stood in front of Bada. Moreover, The bodies of these bloodthirsty mad wolves had enlarged, showing signs of self-detonation at the slightest disagreement. Damn it! The sudden change made Gene Kitchen panic, and he hurriedly shifted his gaze to the Gene family's Sky Supreme expert. The Gene family Sky Supreme expert was called Gene Bo. Gene Bo handled things much more rationally than Gene Kitchen. He said in a clear voice, "Let's make a deal. As long as one bloodthirsty mad wolf rushes to the small array core, I'll break the seal in its body." Crash! Gene Bo's words caused some chaos in the pack of bloodthirsty mad wolves. A life for a life. It might seem like the bloodthirsty mad wolves were at a loss, but anyone with a discerning eye knew that they had no other choice. Gene Bo wasn't like Gene Kitchen. He had the ability to detonate all the seals in the bodies of these bloodthirsty mad wolves. The Gene family seals were famous in the Pill Formation continent. "I'll go first." After a brief moment of silence, a fifth-grade Earth Sovereign Realm bloodthirsty wolf charged towards the array core. Rumble. As soon as the bloodthirsty mad wolf approached the small array core, it was crushed by the 100 Flowers fan's protective shield and died on the spot. "You can go now." Gene Bo kept his promise. He pointed at another fifth-grade Earth Supreme mad wolf and said, "I said a life for a life, so I won't go back on my words." Gene Bo flicked his finger, and a cold light flew towards the bloodthirsty mad wolf. Buzz. Clearly, along with the buzzing sound, the seal within the body of the fifth-grade Earth Supreme Realm bloodthirsty wild wolf was completely broken. "You go first." Bada personally checked the condition of the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. After ensuring that the seal was broken, Bada pointed to the distance and said in a deep voice, "Go as far as you can." Okay. At first, the bloodthirsty mad wolf didn't want to leave. But when it saw Bada raise his brows unnaturally, its figure flashed and flew away. In the blink of an eye, the bloodthirsty mad wolf disappeared. Whoosh, whoosh. No one noticed. After the bloodthirsty mad wolf left, two figures quietly tore through the void and disappeared. As I expected, they want to hunt this bloodthirsty mad wolf. Chapter 1494. Chapter 1494. Chapter 1494 Serious Show. This fifth-grade Earth Supreme Realm bloodthirsty wild wolf was extremely fast. After leaving the northern gate, Bufong rushed toward the distance without stopping. It was as if he knew the predicament he was in. If he didn't leave quickly, he would definitely be killed. However, this bloodthirsty berserk wolf was only a fifth-grade Earth Sovereign, while the two cultivators chasing after it were seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns. The reason why the two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns did not make a move wasn't because they were soft-hearted, but because this place wasn't too far away from Giant Shield City. If they made a move here, it would definitely cause unnecessary trouble. The plan of the two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns was simple. They would wait for the bloodthirsty wild wolf to move a little further before they attacked. Elder Yang, are you able to kill the two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns without attracting any attention? Not long after leaving the North Gate, Ningyu contacted Yang Chong. Ningyu's plan was simple. He would kill the two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns and rescue the bloodthirsty wild wolf, a fifth-grade Earth Sovereign. Yang Chong did not directly reply to Ningyu. He first communicated with the other elders in the pagoda before replying. "It's just two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns, it's not a problem. It's good that there's no problem. This matter must be done secretly. Don't attract the attention of the Gene family of Giant Shield City," Ningyu said in a low voice. "If possible, I hope to capture them alive. It will be difficult to capture him alive, but we will do our best to capture him alive." Yang Chong felt the pressure. It wouldn't be too difficult for him and the elders of Nebula Academy to kill two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns. However, if they were to capture him alive, the difficulty would instantly soar. After all, capturing and killing were two completely different concepts. Try your best. Ningyu naturally knew the difficulty of capturing Yang Chong alive, so he did not make things difficult for him. Rescuing the bloodthirsty wild wolf was the key, but capturing the two seventh-grade Earth Sovereigns was secondary. It was fine as long as he could kill them. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. North of Giant Shield City, in a dense forest dozens of miles away, several figures flashed past, and in an instant they were far away. Roar! Suddenly, the figure at the front stopped abruptly, and then he raised his head and roared. He said coldly, "Your ancestor has already agreed to let me go, so why are you still forcing me?" "You're forcing me?" Seeing the bloodthirsty berserk wolf stopping, the two 7th-grade Earth Sovereigns of the Gene clan also stopped. Amongst them, the long-haired 7th-grade Earth Sovereign raised his brows and eerily said, "The ancestor never intended to let you guys go. Right now, you have two choices. First, stay here obediently. Second, die. Even if I self-destruct, I will never let you have your way." The bloodthirsty wild wolf's face was extremely ugly as he said, "I might only be a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign, but if I self-destruct, stop, stop." Halfway through the bloodthirsty wild wolf's words, the long-haired 7th-grade Earth Sovereign waved his hand and said, "There's something cruel that I didn't tell you. The seal in your body hasn't been completely removed, so your fate is still in the hands of the Gene clan." "What?" Hearing those words, the bloodthirsty, frenzied wolf shrieked in disbelief. "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and choose. Do you want to stay here or die?" The long-haired 7th-grade Earth Sovereign didn't care about the bloodthirsty wild wolf's reaction. His mission was clear. If the bloodthirsty wild wolf was willing to stay here, he would watch over it and let the short-haired 7th-grade Earth Sovereign capture the other bloodthirsty wild wolf. If the bloodthirsty wild wolf didn't want to stay here, he would join forces with the short-haired 7th-grade Earth Sovereign to kill the bloodthirsty wild wolf and capture the other bloodthirsty wild wolf. No matter which one it was, it posed no challenge to him. "What if I don't choose either?" Suddenly, the bloodthirsty wild wolf with the cultivation of 5th-grade Earth Sovereign said indifferently, "What can you do to me? Did the sun rise from the west?" The bloodthirsty wild wolf's sudden words stunned the long-haired 7th-grade Earth Sovereign. This was too illogical. The bloodthirsty wild wolf was clearly at a disadvantage and had no chance of escaping. Why did the bloodthirsty wild wolf say such words at this time? "I'll stand right here. If you're capable, you can come and find trouble with me." The bloodthirsty mad wolf seemed to have given up. With a leap, he landed on a towering tree nearby and closed his eyes to rest. "Kill!" The long-haired man let out a low roar and immediately charged at the bloodthirsty wild wolf. In the long-haired man's view, the bloodthirsty wild wolf didn't have any trump cards. The reason why he acted this way was to stall for time and find a way to escape. Would the long-haired man give him a chance? The answer was obviously no. The long-haired man was so fast that he arrived beside the bloodthirsty wild wolf in the blink of an eye. He clenched his right fist and punched at the bloodthirsty wild wolf's head. At the same time, the long-haired man said sinisterly, "I'd like to see what you're capable of to be so arrogant." Whoosh! In a flash, a strange change occurred. The void beside the bloodthirsty wild wolf suddenly split open and several figures appeared. Upon closer inspection, the figure at the front was none other than Nebula Academy's Yang Chong. As an 8th-grade Earth Sovereign, the moment Yang Chong appeared, he launched a barrage of attacks at the long-haired man. As for the rest of the figures, they all charged towards the short-haired man and surrounded him. "Who are you people? How dare you attack us?" The long-haired man said coldly, "We're from the Gene family, and the experts of the Gene family are in Giant Shield City. As long as I roar, the experts of the Gene family will immediately come." In fact, the long-haired man was also very afraid. In fact, his heart was filled with terror. The reason why he had waited until now to attack the bloodthirsty wild wolf was because he was far from Giant Shield City. If he attacked here, the people in Giant Shield City wouldn't notice. Now he had shot himself in the foot. Noisy. A cold light shot out from Yang Chong's eyes. His mission was to capture the long-haired man alive, not to listen to the long-haired man's roar. After letting out a low roar, Yang Chong began to use his killer move. The reason why Yang Chong used his killer move wasn't because he wanted to kill the long-haired man, but to intimidate him and make him panic. Only by making the long-haired man panic could he capture him alive. Otherwise, he could only kill him. While Yang Chong and the long-haired man were fighting, Ningyu tore through the void and appeared before the bloodthirsty wild wolf. "You are." Seeing Ningyu appear, the bloodthirsty wild wolf revealed an ecstatic expression and hurriedly said, "Don't speak. I'll help you break the seal in your body." Chapter 1495. Questioning so serious? Hearing Ningyu's words, the bloodthirsty mad wolf opened its mouth wide and hurriedly said, "Please help me break the seal in my body no matter what. I will do my best to cooperate. If you don't do anything, you'll be cooperating with me the most." Ningyu took a deep breath, his brows slightly solemn as he said, "The seal in your body is a bit special. I only have a 50% chance of breaking it." Because of Ningyu's words, the bloodthirsty mad wolf kept its mouth shut and no longer spoke. In fact, when he left the north gate of Giant Shield City, he had already received Ba Da's voice transmission. At that time, Ba Da had told him to run far away and that someone would come to rescue him. He had thought that there would be an expert coming to rescue him, but he did not expect that the person who came would be Ningyu. Moreover, Ningyu was helping him break the seal in his body. The Jin clan really has a deep understanding of the Tao of Seals. Ningyu placed his hands on the bloodthirsty mad wolf's back and felt the changes in the seal in its body. His face could not help but turn gloomy. If it was the previous seal, Ningyu could break it in at most 10 minutes. But the current seal, even if Ningyu used all his strength, it would still take half an hour to break it. Drip! Time passed. While Ningyu was breaking the seal in the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body, the battlefield was divided into two. Yang Chong against the long-haired man, the rest of the Nebula Academy elders against the short-haired man. The battle continued to erupt, and the flames of war even spread to Ningyu's side. Fortunately, Ningyu was cautious. As long as the flames of war spread to his side, he would bring the bloodthirsty mad wolf to another position. Puff! After more than 10 times of shifting positions, the bloodthirsty mad wolf finally spat out a mouthful of blood, and the seal in its body was completely broken. Puff! Puff! Just as the seal in the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body was broken, the long-haired man and the short-haired man were both captured. "Ningyu, we need to enter the Tower of Yuzuan to recuperate." In order to capture the long-haired and short-haired men, Yang Chong and the others paid the price in blood. As an 8th-grade Earth Sovereign, Yang Chong's situation was slightly better. However, the other elders of the Nebula Academy were heavily injured. Hence, after capturing the long-haired and short-haired men, Yang Chong directly suggested to Ningyu that he wanted to enter the Tower of Yuzu to recuperate. Open! Ningyu did not waste any time and directly opened the Tower of Yuzuan, letting Yang Chong and the rest enter. Xiao! Xiao! Just before Yang Chong entered the Tower of Yuzuan, 2 wisps of soul force shot out from his sleeves and flew towards Ningyu. Ningyu reacted quickly and caught the 2 wisps of soul force firmly. As soon as he received the 2 wisps of soul power, Ningyu felt that he had established a deep connection with the long-haired man and the short-haired man. This feeling was very subtle. It seemed that as long as he willed it, the long-haired man and the short-haired man could lose their lives at any moment. "Who are you?" Although his life and death was in Ningyu's hands, the long-haired man did not completely compromise. He coldly said, "You're tired of living to go against my Jin family." Crack! Ningyu twisted his neck, making a cracking sound. "You don't seem to understand the situation." Ningyu's tone was calm without any emotions. "You're a prisoner right now. As long as I'm willing, I can end your life at any moment. Don't think that I'm scared. If you dare to kill us, you would have done it long ago. Why would you wait until now?" The long-haired man was stubborn. He was sure that Ningyu wouldn't kill them, so he was fearless. Would Ningyu really not kill them? The answer was clearly no. In the next moment, Ningyu flicked his wrist and detonated the long-haired man's soul force. Rumble. Soul force exploded, and the long-haired man felt as if his head was going to explode. Powerful shock waves wreaked havoc in his head. I know. In a moment of desperation, the long-haired man's pupils shrank. He pointed at Ningyu with his right hand. He wanted to say something, but he only managed to spit out 2 words before falling to the ground. Plop! His body hit the ground with a plop. At this moment, the 7th grade Earth Sovereign of the Gene family, the long-haired man, died on the spot. Hiss! The long-haired man's death was a huge blow to the short-haired man. It made him understand that his life was no longer in his hands. Therefore, after taking a deep breath, the short-haired man chose to lay his cards on the table with Ningyu. Since Ningyu did not kill him immediately, it meant that Ningyu wanted to get some information from him. In that case, it would give him an opportunity. I'll ask you a few questions. If you can answer them honestly, I can consider sparing your life. Ningyu would not waste time talking to the short-haired man. His time was precious. He still had to return to the North Gate after dealing with this matter. After all, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun, she were not strong enough to guard the small array core. Ask away. As long as I know, I'll tell you. After knowing his fate, the short-haired man calmed down. His calmness was a little frightening. The short-haired man's reaction was a little out of Ningyu's expectations. Compared to the long-haired man, the short-haired man made Ningyu look at him in a new light. Does the Gene family have any more heavenly sovereigns? Ningyu asked after sorting out his thoughts. No. The strongest in the Gene family is Gene Bo, an initial heavenly supreme. He's at the North Gate of the giant shield city. The short-haired man answered without hesitation. Does the Gene family have any more half-step heavenly sovereigns? Ningyu asked again. Yes. Ningyu's question was simple, and so was the short-haired man's answer. Unless it was absolutely necessary, the short-haired man did not want to reveal too much about the Gene family. If he revealed too much about the Gene family, even if he could escape, he would definitely be punished. The reason why the Gene family could become the royal family of the Qingye Empire was because of the strict family rules. Do you know the cultivation of the strongest expert sent by Emperor God Palace this time? Ningyu originally wanted to launch a surprise attack on the Gene family of the Qingye Empire. But after hearing that the Gene family had a half-step heavenly sovereign, Ningyu could only give up on that idea. Ningyu knew that the Emperor Palace had also sent experts to attack the giant shield city. So he wanted to know how powerful the cultivators from the Emperor Palace were. The Emperor Palace is the same as our Gene family. On the surface, they only sent 4 cultivators, 1 heavenly sovereign, 1 pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign, and 2 1st grade Earth sovereigns. But there are many 7th grade Earth sovereigns in the shadows. The short-haired man did not want to talk about the Gene family. But when it came to the Emperor Palace, the short-haired man revealed everything he knew. Chapter 1496. Chapter 1496. Chapter 1496 Healing, Di-Ling Tian. Ningyu's eyes widened and a solemn expression appeared on his face. Ningyu more or less knew about the Emperor Divine Palace. Di-Ling Tian was the personal disciple of the Emperor Palace's old ancestor. Rumor had it that Di-Ling Tian was one of the 6 ultimate geniuses when he was in the human sovereign realm. Ningyu is only one of the 5 ultimate geniuses in this life. Do you have any way to lure Di-Ling Tian out? Ningyu began to plan in his mind. Logically speaking, there was no reason for the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace to bring Di-Ling Tian here for such a dangerous mission. After all, it was a battle between advanced Earth sovereigns. If Di-Ling Tian was not careful, he might die here. The reason why Di-Ling Tian would come over, there was only one explanation. That was that Di-Ling Tian came to train. If he encountered an advanced Earth sovereign, he wouldn't let Di-Ling Tian fight. But if he encountered a low Earth sovereign, he would kill him. The short-haired man shook his head and said solemnly, "There's a grade 9 Earth sovereign next to Di-Ling Tian. As long as a grade 5 or above Earth sovereign gets close to him, the grade 9 Earth sovereign will attack." Is that so? Ningyu did not frown as he fell into deep thought. Ningyu had already thought of a way to deal with the Gene family. But Ningyu was still at a loss as to how to deal with the Emperor Palace. Both the Jin family and the Emperor Palace were hard to deal with. The Jin family had Jin Bo, a Sky Supreme, and the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace was also a Sky Supreme. If they acted rashly, it would be disastrous. Ningyu pondered for a moment and said, "Tell me everything about your companion." "What?" The short-haired man was puzzled. He didn't know what Ningyu was up to. "What do you think I'm going to do?" Ningyu transformed into the long-haired man with a shake of his body. "You." Ningyu's sudden change stunned the short-haired man. He raised his right hand and pointed at Ningyu, his face filled with disbelief. The reason why the short-haired man was shocked wasn't that Ningyu had turned into a long-haired man, but the aura that Ningyu was emitting had reached the 7th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. Pretending to be weak to eat the tiger? At this moment, the short-haired man was even more certain of his guess. Ningyu was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. His real strength had reached the 7th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and tell me about your companion's habits, as well as some of his hidden tricks. Ningyu couldn't be bothered to explain to the short-haired man. He patted the short-haired man's shoulder and said, "As long as you do as I say, I promise I won't kill you." Xiao. No one noticed that when Ningyu patted the short-haired man's shoulder, a wisp of his soul force had quietly entered the short-haired man's body and hid within. That wisp of soul force was Ningyu's main soul force. Using his main soul force to control the short-haired man was something that Ningyu could be at ease with. Naturally, the short-haired man had no idea that Ningyu had left his soul force in his body. He thought that Ningyu had overexerted himself, causing his shoulder to swell. All right. At this moment, the short-haired man could only seriously explain to Ningyu without hiding anything. While the short-haired man was seriously teaching, Ningyu was also seriously learning. In less than half an hour, Ningyu had finally grasped everything about the long-haired man. He could already perfectly imitate the long-haired man. If it wasn't for the fact that the short-haired man knew that Ningyu wasn't his companion, he would definitely mistake him for someone else. Xiao. Just as Ningyu had perfectly imitated the long-haired man, a huge creature was galloping over from afar. Needless to say, it was definitely a bloodthirsty mad wolf. Buzz. Seeing the bloodthirsty mad wolf flying over, Ningyu's mind shook, and he quickly transformed into his original form. Don't waste time. Hurry up and relax your mind. I'll help you break the seal in your body. Ningyu was swift and decisive. He first explained to the bloodthirsty mad wolf, and then started to break the seal in its body. If it wasn't for the bloodthirsty mad wolf's request, Ningyu definitely wouldn't waste time here. After all, he didn't know what would happen at the giant shield city's north gate. Whether Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun she could hold on was still unknown. The bloodthirsty mad wolf was very cooperative. After half an hour of Ningyu's full effort, the seal in the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body was finally broken. Swoosh! Swoosh! After that, a bloodthirsty mad wolf would appear almost every half to 10 minutes. Ningyu didn't refuse any of them. He wholeheartedly helped these bloodthirsty mad wolves break the seal in their bodies. At first, Ningyu needed half an hour to break the seal in a bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. However, as time passed, Ningyu's speed of breaking the seal became faster and faster. In the end, he only needed a few minutes to break the seal in a bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. Whoosh! After breaking the seals within the bodies of 19 bloodthirsty mad wolves, Ningyu finally heaved a sigh of relief and relaxed a little. Including the bloodthirsty mad wolf at the beginning, Ningyu had broken the seal in a total of 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves in just a few hours. You guys go to the army on the East Road and find Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Tell them that I asked you to find them. After waiting for a while and seeing that no bloodthirsty mad wolves were coming this way, Ningyu began his next move. He took a deep breath and looked at the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. When you arrive at the army on the East Road, you have two tasks. First, cooperate with Mu Ping and Mu Hua to complete the task I gave them. Second, make sure that your companions don't die. Before Ningyu left the army on the East Road, he handed over the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves to Mu Ping and Mu Hua so that they could cooperate with him perfectly. Strictly speaking, Ningyu wasn't very assured. After all, among the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves left in the army on the East Road, more than a dozen of them still had their seals broken. This, however, was more dangerous. Therefore, Ningyu specifically ordered the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves to protect their companions. Whether it was the bloodthirsty mad wolves here or the bloodthirsty mad wolves in the East Road, they were all at the Earth's supreme realm, which was a rare fighting force. Ningyu knew that he was up against the Jin family and Divine Emperor Palace. Therefore, he planned to prepare his own forces after this crisis was over. In the Sky Demon region, without your own forces, you couldn't compete with some powerful sects no matter how strong you were. Of course, this was all in the future. What he needed to do now was to get through the crisis of Giant Shield City. Understood. The 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves answered in unison. They had already acknowledged Ningyu. After all, if it weren't for Ningyu, they would have been dead long ago. Whoosh! The 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves moved in unison and rushed toward the army on the East Road from the other side. Chapter 1497. Back to Northgate. What's your name? After dealing with the bloodthirsty mad wolf, Ningyu let out a long sigh and wiped the sweat off his forehead. He turned to the short-haired man and said, "Also, what's the name of your companion?" Just now, Ningyu was only concerned about the habits of the long-haired man and did not have the time to ask for their names. Now that he had to return to the North Gate of Giant Shield City, Ningyu naturally had to handle everything well. He could not afford to make too many mistakes. Otherwise, his plan this time might fall short of success. In order to successfully resolve Giant Shield City's predicament, Ningyu had started to make arrangements the moment he arrived at the army on the Eastern Road. This situation had already reached the most crucial point, and Ningyu did not want to fail at the last moment. "My name is Huang Jiqiang," the short-haired man hurriedly said. "The long-haired man is called Huang Jijian." "Huang Jiqiang. Huang Jijian, all right, let's go." Ningyu secretly memorized the short-haired man's and his name. Then, he moved and rushed toward the north gate of Giant Shield City. Xiao. Huang Jiqiang didn't want to go back at all, but he had to obey Ningyu's order. Huang Jiqiang had no choice but to follow closely behind Ningyu and fly toward the north gate of Giant Shield City. Pucci. At the same time, at the north gate of Giant Shield City, Grandmaster Xingyun suddenly spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His face became somewhat pale. The self-destruction of 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves put Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi in an extremely dangerous situation. However, Fairy Yun Shi had the 100 Flowers fan, so his situation was a little better than Master Xingyun. Ha, Grandmaster Xingyun, as long as you open the small formation core and hand over the tower of you, I will spare your life. Outside the north gate, Jinbo looked at the heavily injured Master Xingyun with a cold expression on his face. He laughed wildly and said, "Otherwise, I will let you know why flowers are so red." Pooh! Grandmaster Xingyun spat out a mouthful of saliva and said coldly, "If you have the ability, you can break the small formation core yourself. As long as I am here, you can forget about breaking the small formation core for the rest of your life. Don't even think about breaking it." Jinbo seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he sinisterly said, 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves are just the appetizer, bada. Whoosh! As Jinbo's words rang out, all the martial artists in the area shifted their gazes towards Bada. Apart from the 20 bloodthirsty wild wolves that had left and the 20 bloodthirsty wild wolves that had self-destructed, there was only one bloodthirsty wild wolf left in the area. It was the leader of the bloodthirsty wild wolves, Barda. Bada wasn't an ordinary bloodthirsty wolf. Not only was he the leader of the bloodthirsty wolves, but his cultivation had also reached the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. It could be said that the self-destruction of the previous 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves was not as powerful as Bada's self-destruction. Bada was Jinbo's final trump card. You actually want a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign to self-destruct here. Seeing Bada slowly walking out, Master Xingyun's face was filled with disbelief. If a 9th grade Earth Sovereign were to self-detonate here, there was a high possibility that the small array core would be destroyed. However, there was a higher possibility that the shockwave would spread out and affect Jinbo's own people. I know what you're thinking. Jinbo shrugged and waved his sleeves. In an instant, a scroll appeared in his hand. Waving the scroll in his hand, Jinbo said, "This is an ancient scroll with extremely powerful defensive capabilities. Not to mention the self-destruction of a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. It can even withstand the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign." Can it really withstand the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign? Hearing that, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi's hearts jolted. For some reason, they hoped that Bada would attack the small array core instead. That's because when Bada attacked the small array core, Jinbo would definitely bring out the ancient scroll to block it. Thus, they would have one less life-saving method. Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi had already prepared for the worst. That was, if the small array core was destroyed, Jinbo and the rest would rush into the giant shield city. Therefore, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi had left their trump card in the space near the small array core. The trump card that Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi had left behind was none other than Tuahi. Tuahi was a bona fide Sky Supreme expert. There was still a huge difference between the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign and the self-destruction of a 9th grade Earth Sovereign. It could be said that the self-destruction of 10 9th grade Earth Sovereigns could not compare to the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign. Jinbo curled his lips and said in disdain, "Even if 100 8th grade Earth Sovereigns like you self-destructed at the same time, it would still be able to withstand it." As he spoke, Jinbo saw that Bada was still standing there in a daze. He couldn't help but fly into a rage. "Bada, what are you still standing there for? I've already been merciful enough to you. Only I would be so merciful to 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves." Bada was already prepared to self-destruct. However, Bada did not want to self-destruct at the small array core. Instead, he wanted to self-destruct on the spot. Therefore, no matter how Jinbo shouted, Bada remained indifferent. Buzz! In the next instant, Bada's body began to swell, becoming bigger and bigger. Not good. He's going to self-destruct here. Seeing Bada's actions, Meng Quan and the rest exclaimed, "Jinbo, I don't care what method you use. Just hurry up and stop him. You must make him stop. Don't make a fuss. Everything is under my control." Jinbo was very calm, so calm that it was a little scary. The reason why Jinbo was so calm was because of the Jin family seal in Bada's body. As long as Jinbo was unwilling, Bada could not self-destruct no matter what. "Bada, since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, I can only teach you a lesson." The corner of Jinbo's lips rose as he shouted, "Huang Jiqiang, Huang Jijian, come out and tell Bada where the other 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are." Whoosh! As Jinbo's voice rang out, the void trembled. Then Huang Jiqiang, Ningyu, and the rest appeared in everyone's sight. "The other 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are already under our control. As long as you give the order, I will immediately bring them over." The one who spoke was none other than Huang Jijian, also known as Ningyu. Ningyu was not nervous at all. Instead, he spoke in a logical manner. "Very good. The two of you have done well. Don't let the 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves come over for the time being." Jinbo nodded. He was very satisfied with Ningyu and Huang Jiqiang's actions. Jinbo was satisfied, but Bada was finished. Hearing Ningyu's words, Bada's entire body trembled. Bada had thought that Jinbo would play tricks, and he had a backup plan. He had asked Ningyu to help rescue the 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves. Now, it seemed that Ningyu should have failed and might even be killed. Chapter 1498. Chapter 1498. Chapter 1498. Strike with all your might. Bada, what do you think? Do you want to consider it? Jinbo stared at Bada with interest and said, "It's completely worth it to exchange your life for the lives of 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves." What a good plan. Bada's expression was extremely gloomy. As the leader of the bloodthirsty wild wolves, he was unable to ensure the safety of the bloodthirsty wild wolves. He felt extremely guilty. However, Barda was not a fool. He knew very well that even if he really used self-destruction to blast the small formation eye, he would definitely not be able to exchange for the safety of the other 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. From the beginning, Bada had never pinned his hopes on Jinbo. He placed all of his hopes on Ningyu. Whether or not Ningyu succeeded would determine whether or not the bloodthirsty mad wolf could survive. Now, it seemed that the situation was a bit beyond his imagination. You don't want to consider it? Jinbo's face instantly darkened. Jinbo did not want to waste his breath with Bada here. With a thought, he began to control the seal in Bada's body. Under Jinbo's control, Bada let out a hysterical scream. Ningbo was in control, and so was Bada. At this moment, Bada had thoroughly displayed his strength as a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. If it were any other Earth Supremes, they would have long since collapsed. But Bada was still struggling to hold on. Sha. Seeing Bada's pained expression, Ningyu felt that he should do something. Ningyu rolled his eyes and quickly came up with a countermeasure. Giving Huang Jiqiang a meaningful look, Ningyu walked towards Jin Kitchen step by step. Soon, Ningyu came to Jin Kitchen's side. Elder, should we send those 20 wolves back to the Jin clan first? Ningyu looked around and said in a low voice, Just now, many elders of the Jin family sent me a message asking me to leave 1 or 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves for them. Nonsense. Hearing Ningyu's words, Jin Kitchen was so angry that his nose became crooked. These bloodthirsty berserk wolves were his exclusive property. Those elders who were enjoying their lives in the Jin family actually wanted to fight with him for the bloodthirsty mad wolf? What a fool's dream. Snorting coldly, Jin Kitchen said in a deep voice, Unless old ancestor Jinbo says something, you better stay here. Don't give those 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves to anyone. All right. Ningyu nodded with a helpless look on his face. At this moment, Ningyu vividly displayed his identity. He hovered between the Jin family elders and Jin Kitchen, not daring to offend either of them. Ningyu's words successfully attracted Jin Kitchen's attention, making Jin Kitchen's thoughts focus on the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. Explode. At this moment, Jinbo roared from afar. Rumble. As Jinbo's roar rang out, a sky-shaking sound suddenly rang out. What happened? After the loud noise, Jinbo was a little stunned, even a little confused. This was because Jinbo realized that Bada in front of him hadn't self-destructed. Barda did not self-destruct. So who was the one who self-destructed? Not good. It's Huang Jiqiang. As the old ancestor of the Jin family, Jinbo quickly reacted. Someone did self-destruct, but it wasn't Bada. It was the 7th grade Earth Sovereign, Huang Jiqiang. Although the power of a 7th grade Earth Sovereign self-destruction wasn't big, Jin Kitchen and the 2 1st grade Earth Sovereigns were together with Huang Jiqiang. At such a close distance, even if Jin Kitchen exerted all his strength to resist, it would be hard for him to resist. Puff, puff. Without a doubt, under the impact of Huang Jiqiang's self-destruction, the 2 1st grade Earth Sovereigns of the Jin family, Jin Ku and Jin Yang, both suffered serious injuries. As for Jin Kitchen, his situation was a little better. However, at such a close distance, Jin Kitchen was only slightly better than Jin Ku and Jin Yang. He also suffered serious injuries. His aura had dropped from the peak 9th grade Earth Sovereign to the initial 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and it was still dropping. This is infuriating. Jin Kitchen was in a state of rage. Being injured by one of his own, Jin Kitchen would lose all his face. Who the hell told me what the hell is going on? Jin Kitchen roared like a madman. Finally, his eyes stopped on Ningyu. Huang Jiqian, come here. Jin Kitchen roared, extremely angry. Elder, this matter has nothing to do with me. I don't know what the hell is going on. Ningyu looked very frightened. Even his whole body was trembling. Open your mind. Let me check. Jin Kitchen's mind moved, and in an instant, his perception surged into Ningyu's mind and began to check. On the surface, Ningyu's body was trembling, but in fact, he was very excited. The plan was going well. Huang Jiqiang's self-destruction had seriously injured Jin Kitchen. At this time, as long as he suddenly attacked. He could definitely kill Jean Kitchen. However, Ningyu didn't plan to attack now. He was waiting for an opportunity. If he attacked now, there was a 50% chance of killing Jean Kitchen, but he had no way to escape. What Ningyu wanted to do was to kill Jean Kitchen and escape unscathed. The key to the success of this matter was on Jinbo. Swish! When Jean Kitchen was checking Ningyu, Jinbo was also using his perception to check Ningyu. Fortunately, Ningyu's performance was very logical, which added a lot of points for him. Otherwise, Jinbo and Jean Kitchen would definitely take him down. Is there really no problem? After checking Ningyu for 3 minutes, Jinbo and Jean Kitchen retracted their perception. In the hearts of Jinbo and Jean Kitchen, such a sentence arose at the same time. They didn't find anything in Ningyu's body. In other words, Ningyu couldn't self-destruct, so there was no problem. Come here, I'll check again. Jean Kitchen didn't believe it. He waved his hand at Ningyu and said, "No one can make trouble under my eyes. If I find out, I'll kill without mercy." Ningyu walked towards Jean Kitchen while secretly paying attention to Jinbo's movements. As long as Jinbo relaxed a little, he would kill Jean Kitchen with all his strength. For the people of the Jean family, if he could kill one, it was one. Ningyu would never be soft-hearted. Elder Yang, inject all your power into my body. I want to kill Jean Kitchen in one move. To ensure that nothing went wrong, Ningyu also secretly contacted Yang Chong. After a period of recovery, Yang Chong had returned to his peak state. Yang Chong was an 8th grade Earth Supreme. With his help, Ningyu didn't believe that Jean Kitchen could survive. 3 more steps, 2 more steps. While moving forward, Ningyu secretly counted his steps. Next step, attack. When he was 1 step away from Jean Kitchen, Ningyu clenched his right fist and fiercely punched at Jean Kitchen's head. Buzz! With Yang Chong's help, the power of Ningyu's punch was extremely powerful. Chapter 1499. Killing Jean Kitchen. Not good. Jean Kitchen was truly a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. Even if he was heavily injured, his perception was still powerful. When Ningyu's fist arrived before him, he immediately reacted and dodged to the side. However, it was already too late for him to dodge. Ningyu's fist brought along a violent gale as it slammed against Jean Kitchen's head. Boom! Jean Kitchen's head exploded with brain juice splattering out. Let's go! Ningyu did not hesitate after his attack succeeded. He immediately tore open the void and flew towards Master Xingyun and Fairy Yunxi. The sudden change had caused Jinbo and the rest to widen their eyes as they stood on the spot with dumbfounded expressions. He couldn't believe that Jean Kitchen was actually killed. One must know that Jean Kitchen was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, the main force of the Jean family. The Jean family had suffered great losses in the Void Realm and Nebula Academy. Now that another pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign had died, the Jean family's strength had dropped by a 5th. Go, capture Huang Zhijian. After a brief daze, Jinbo roared as he charged towards Ningyu. Jinbo was enraged to the extreme. Jinbo had immediately unleashed the aura of a heavenly sovereign to suppress Ningyu. As Ningyu moved forth, he did not forget to turn around and look at Jinbo with a cold smile. Huang Zhijian, open your eyes and see who I am. I don't care who you are, you'll have to what? In the beginning, Jinbo did not listen to Ningyu's words, since his words were filled with coldness. But when he saw Ningyu's appearance, he was instantly startled. Ningyu was someone that their Jean family was after. If it wasn't for Ningyu causing trouble in the Nebula Academy, the Ascension Pagoda would have long been theirs. Now that he saw Ningyu's true colors, Jinbo was so angry that his nose became crooked. If he had known about Ningyu's identity, he would have captured Ningyu immediately and snatched the Tower of Yuzu from Ningyu. Grandmaster Xingyun, hurry up and open the small formation eye. I want to go there. While Jinbo was in a daze, Ningyu hurriedly contacted Master Xingyun. He wanted to ask Master Xingyun to open the small formation core. Whether Ningyu could successfully enter Giant Shield City or not depended on whether Master Xingyun was willing to help. Open. Master Xing Yun was not an indecisive person. He immediately opened a small formation, eye, and opened a door to Giant Shield City for Ningyu. Bada, come with me. Before entering Giant Shield City, Ningyu did not forget to help Bada. No matter what, Bada was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. As long as the seal on Bada was removed, his strength would be terrifying. Thank you. Bada knew that Ningyu was helping him, so he only replied briefly before focusing on controlling the seal in his body. He did not want to be controlled by Jinbo to self-destruct after entering Giant Shield City. Relax your mind. I can stabilize the seal in your body. If you help someone, you should help them to the end. Since Ningyu had decided to help Bada, he would not give up halfway. Since he had helped more than 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves break the seal in their bodies, Ningyu had a deeper understanding of the Jin family seal. Ningyu separated a wisp of soul force and entered Bada's body. It only took a few seconds for Ningyu to control the seal in Bada's body. At this time, no matter how hard Jinbo tried, he could not stop Bada from self-destructing. This is so infuriating. On one hand, he could not catch up to Ningyu, and, on the other hand, he could not activate the seal in Bada's body. As the Jin family's old ancestor, Jinbo had never been so angry before. Jinbo, you have to rely on our Emperor Palace for this. Seeing that Ningyu was about to enter Giant Shield City with Bada, a figure suddenly appeared around them. Then, the old ancestor of Emperor Palace suddenly appeared next to Ningyu and tried to grab Ningyu's head with his fist. The old ancestor of Emperor Palace had the cultivation of an early-stage Heaven Supreme. He was extremely powerful. In Emperor Palace, this old ancestor's combat power was enough to rank in the top 5. Phew! Seeing that the old ancestor of Emperor Palace had made a move, Jinbo heaved a sigh of relief. The worry between his eyebrows eased a little. At such a close distance, the old ancestor of Emperor Palace had attacked with all his might. Could Ningyu resist it? The answer was obviously no. However, it did not matter if Ningyu could not resist it. Someone would block it for Ningyu. 100-flower fan. Yunshi Fairy held the 100-flower fan in her hand. In the blink of an eye, she tore the void and appeared outside Giant Shield City. You guys go first. I'll hold them off. She did not waste any time with Ningyu. She controlled the 100-flower fan and shot out a beam of light that enveloped Ningyu and Bada before throwing them towards the small array core. Sizzle, sizzle. The speed of the beam of light was extremely fast. Almost in an instant, Ningyu and Bada had entered Giant Shield City. Rumble. Ningyu's group had entered Giant Shield City, but Yunshi was obstructed by many experts. Jinbo, the old ancestor of Emperor Palace, Meng Quan, Southern Dipper Venerable, Northern Dipper Venerable, and several other 9th grade Earth Sovereigns had all made their moves. They wanted to kill Yunshi. Ha ha! You can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. Jinbo raised his head and laughed maniacally. An extremely vicious expression appeared on his face. Compared to Yunshi, Ningyu and Bada were not that attractive. Ningyu had the Tower of Ascension, but Yunshi had the 100-flower fan. The 100-flower fan was a supreme treasure amongst supreme treasures. It wasn't any weaker than the Tower of Ascension. It would be a wonderful thing if they could obtain the 100-flower fan. Jinbo, your main goal has always been the Yuzuan Pagoda. After you get the 100-flower fan, I promise to help you snatch the Yuzuan Pagoda. The Emperor Divine Palace's old ancestor started to set a trap for Jinbo because he wanted the 100-flower fan. Oomph. The 100-flower fan isn't any weaker than the Tower of Ascension. What a good plan. Jinbo coldly snorted. He did not give a definite answer to the old ancestor of Emperor Palace. Stop fighting. The 100-flower fan is mine. No one can snatch it from me. Meng Quan had not made a move during this period of time. Now that Yunshi had come out with the 100-flower fan, Meng Quan felt that his chance had come. He made up his mind to obtain the 100-flower fan no matter what. Swish! Therefore, Meng Quan did not waste any time. He immediately made a move and charged towards Yunxi. 100 flower blossoms. Seeing Meng Quan approaching her, Yunxi's expression was extremely solemn. She waved the 100-flower fan in her hand repeatedly. Instantly, the void split apart. Thousands of flower petals appeared and attacked Meng Quan from all directions. Child's play. Meng Quan did not care about the flower petals that Yunxi had unleashed. Meng Quan waved his sleeves. In an instant, countless orbs of light shot out from his sleeves. These orbs were not too big. They were only the size of fist. Chapter 1500. Plot. Sizzle. The sphere of light and the petal came into contact, emitting sizzling sounds at the same time. In the next moment, the petal and the sphere of light disappeared. So powerful. Seeing Meng Quan's powerful strength, Jinbo and the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace were astonished. They knew that Meng Quan was strong, but they didn't expect him to be this strong. With the cultivation of a half-step Sky Supreme, he wasn't at a disadvantage against Fairy Yunxi, who had the 100-flower fan. It was difficult for them to achieve such strength. Grandmaster Xingyun, I'll give you the Yuzuan Pagoda. Hurry up and open the small array core to let Fairy Yunxi in. In Giant Shield City, Ningyu didn't hide anything and directly handed the Yuzuan Pagoda to Grandmaster Xingyun. Fairy Yun, she was the strongest expert in Giant Shield City. If she was captured alive, it would greatly affect the morale of Giant Shield City. No rush. Taking the Yuzuan Pagoda, Grandmaster Xingyun said solemnly, Fairy Yun, she is playing a big game. Now that you've brought the Yuzuan Pagoda here, it's coming to an end. All right, you guys do what you need to do. I'll help Bada break the seal. Ningyu knew that Grandmaster Xingyun definitely had his reasons for doing this. Therefore, Ningyu didn't waste time with Grandmaster Xingyun. Instead, he went to Bada's side and placed his hands on Bada's back, starting to break the seal. The seal in Bada's body was very serious. Under normal circumstances, Ningyu only needed 10-odd minutes to break the seal in a bloodthirsty wild wolf's body. But if Ningyu wanted to break the seal in Bada's body, he would need at least an hour, because the seal in Bada's body was different from the other bloodthirsty wild wolf seals. Relax your mind, don't resist. Ningyu's hands were tightly on Bada's back, and strands of energy flowed into Bada's body. Puffed. The moment Ningyu's energy entered Bada's body, Bada spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. I can still hold on. Bada gritted his teeth. Bada knew very well that Ningyu was helping him, so no matter how painful it was, he had to endure it. Hold on for 1 hour. Ningyu's expression was solemn. He was highly focused and did not dare to be careless. Whether or not he could break the seal in Bada's body was a matter of great importance. Ningyu did not dare to be careless. Rumble. In Giant Shield City, Ningyu helped Bada break the seal in his body. Outside Giant Shield City, Fairy Yun, she was fighting with Meng Quan. Time was always slipping away inadvertently. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Whoosh! Half an hour later, another figure joined the battlefield outside Giant Shield City. Jinbo. The Jin family's ancestor, Jinbo, finally could not endure it any longer and joined in the attack on Fairy Yunxi. Whoosh! 20 minutes later, the ancestral patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace also joined the battle. At this point, Fairy Yun, she had already exchanged blows with 3 martial practitioners. The patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace, Jinbo, Meng Quan. Fairy Yun, she felt a lot of pressure fighting with 3 experts at the same time. Fairy Yun, why don't I open a small formation, and you come back quickly. Seeing that Fairy Yun, she could not hold on any longer, Grandmaster Xingyun said hurriedly, There's one more step. I could still hold on. Fairy Yun, she did not want the plan to fail at the last moment. She clenched her teeth. If this plan succeeded, the crisis of Giant Shield City would be resolved in one go. Therefore, Fairy Yun, she still wanted to hold on. 10 minutes at most. Grandmaster Xingyun's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, I suspect that if you act rashly, you might attract the attention of those people. They should not appear. I know. Let's wait for a few more minutes. How could Fairy Yun she not know that? However, she still wanted to wait. Buzz buzz. At the same time, in the void not far away, the two martial practitioners' lips curled up at the same time. One of the martial practitioners wearing a bamboo hat said, "This Fairy Yun she is indeed someone who can control the 100-flower fan. She is very strong. Why? Have you taken a fancy to her?" The other martial practitioner in a black robe said sinisterly, "I have to remind you that Tuo he is still in her hands. If you act now, she might make Tuo he self-destruct to injure you." "Don't worry. How can I not know that?" The bamboo hat man waved his hand and said, "Let Meng Quan and the rest test Fairy Yun she's strength first. I won't act today." "It's good that you won't act. The time is not ripe yet." The martial practitioner in a black robe nodded and then fell silent. Rumble. The conversation between the martial practitioner in a black robe and the bamboo hat man in the void did not attract the attention of Fairy Yun Shi and Meng Quan. At this time, the battle between Fairy Yun Shi and Meng Quan had reached its climax. 3 against 1. Fairy Yun Shi was at an absolute disadvantage. After another 20 minutes, even the Southern Dipper Venerable and the Northern Dipper Venerable joined the battle. 1 against 3. Fairy Yun she could still rely on the 100-flower fan to defend herself. However, 1 against 5, or even 1 against 10, Fairy Yun she finally could not hold on any longer. She spat out a mouthful of blood. After spitting out the blood, Fairy Yun she's aura dropped rapidly. Retreat. Feeling Fairy Yun she's aura drop, Grandmaster Xing Yun, who was in Giant Shield City, hurriedly shouted. Swoosh! Fairy Yun she was not an indecisive person. She quickly displayed her trump card of the 100-flower fan and forced the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest to retreat. Then, she rushed toward the small array eye. If they wanted to enter Giant Shield City now, they could only go through the small array eye. There was no other way. Go after her. Seeing Fairy Yun she retreat, Jinbo and the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace were the first to rush after her. As for Meng Quan, he stayed where he was and did not chase after her. Meng Quan was a peak grade 9 elixir refinement master, and his soul power was very strong. Just now, he sensed some disappointment between Fairy Yun Shi's brows. Through the change in Fairy Yun Shi's expression, Meng Quan's heart skipped a beat. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. Therefore, Meng Quan did not chase after her. He resolutely chose to stay where he was. Open the array eye. Fairy Yun she was very fast. In the blink of an eye, she arrived before the small array eye and entered it. Retreat quickly. At that moment, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace and Jinbo, who were chasing after them, reacted and quickly retreated. However, it was obviously too late for them to retreat now. All of a sudden, a terrifying devouring power emerged from the small array eye. The devouring power was so powerful that it sucked the right legs of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace and Jinbo into it in the blink of an eye. Crack! The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace was a ruthless person. Gritting his teeth, he turned his right fist into a palm and slashed at his right leg. A crisp sound was heard. The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's right leg was cut off by himself, with his right leg broken. The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace took advantage of the short window of time to retreat and avoid being devoured by the small array eye. The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace managed to escape, but Jinbo was not so lucky. Under the terrifying, devouring power that erupted from the small array eye, he was completely sucked in. Chapter 1501. Chapter 1501. Chapter 1501 Leadership Patriarch. Outside Giant Shield City, when the Jin family's warriors saw Jinbo being sucked into the Tower of Ascension, they immediately revealed looks of horror. Jinbo was the strongest expert in the Jin family, an early-stage Sky Supreme. Jinbo had played a crucial role in the Jin family's success in the Qinya Empire and becoming a force on par with the Emperor Divine Palace. If Jinbo was caught, it would be a disaster for the Jin family. Please save the old ancestor. You must save the old ancestor from the Tower of You. The Jin family's martial artists set their sights on Meng Quan. Although Meng Quan's cultivation was only at the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm, he was powerful, and he could be said to be the strongest expert in the 100-Flower City. Asking Meng Quan for help was the best choice. All of you, behave yourselves. I'm trying to think of a way. Meng Quan did not directly refuse the warriors of the Jin family. His face was solemn as he secretly thought of a countermeasure. At first, Meng Quan thought that Master Xing Yun couldn't control the Tower of Ascension. Now, it seemed that he was indeed a little too young. Not only could Grandmaster Xing Yun control the Tower of Yuzuan, but he could also use it to fight against his enemies. Meng Quan knew better than anyone else that the suction force emitted from the small array core came from the Tower of the Supremacy of Yu. Fairy Yun, she with the Yu by flower fan, was already hard enough to deal with. Now that Master Xing Yun also had the Tower of Yuzuan, he felt a lot of pressure. Voila! At this moment, the void suddenly split open, and two figures appeared in front of everyone. The man wearing the bamboo hat and the black-robed cultivator. After the two of them appeared, they first stared at the Tower of Yuzuan and the Fan of 100 Flowers, then said solemnly, "I'll give you half an hour. After half an hour, I hope to see you attack Giant Shield City." The bamboo-hatted man and the black-robed martial artist's attitude was very firm. There was no room for negotiation. Breaking through the small formation core and entering Giant Shield City was the most basic condition. They even hoped that Meng Quan and the others would snatch the Tower of Ascension and the 100 Flowers fan. There's no way we can break into Giant Shield City in half an hour. Before Meng Quan and the rest could speak, a middle-rank Earth Sovereign shook his head. The 9th-grade Earth Sovereign's name was Deng Bin, an elder of the Emperor Palace. The reason why Deng Bin would refute the bamboo-hatted man and the black-robed martial artist was that the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's right leg was broken and his strength had decreased significantly. If they wanted to attack Giant Shield City within half an hour, every expert would have to give it their all. Deng Bin felt that he should buy some time for the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace, at least for a few hours. We can't break into Giant Shield City in half an hour. The black-robed martial artist's tone was calm, and it was impossible to tell if he was happy or angry. However, from the expression of the black-robed martial artist, one could vaguely see that he was angry, but he was deliberately restraining himself. Difficult. At this point, Deng Bin had no other choice, and he could only grit his teeth and say, "But it's not impossible, but what?" The black-robed martial artist said in a deep voice, "I want Meng Quan and the others to be the vanguard, and the Patriarch of the Emperor Divine Palace will be the last to attack." Deng Bin said reluctantly, "Very good. You know how to bargain with me." The black-robed martial artist nodded slightly, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said sinisterly, "You might have forgotten your identity. You're a dog that we raised. Whatever I tell you to do, you have to do. Now that the dog has disobeyed me, I can only say sorry." Hearing that, Deng Bin's heart skipped a beat, and he faintly felt that something was wrong. Bang! Unfortunately, the moment Deng Bin felt that something was wrong, his pupils constricted. The black-robed martial artist dashed out instantly, clenched his right fist, and punched Deng Bin's chest hard. The huge force that came from Deng Bin's chest sent him flying several feet away, and he fell heavily on the ground. The black-robed martial artist only wanted to establish his authority, so he did not kill Deng Bin. Attack Giant Shield City in half an hour. Sweeping his gaze across Meng Quan and the others, the black-robed martial artist pointed at Deng Bin, who had fallen on the ground, and said in a deep voice, "Otherwise, his outcome will be the same as yours." Swoosh! The black-robed martial artist's words set off a storm in the hearts of Meng Quan and the others. Originally, Meng Quan and the others thought that the black-robed martial artist was just an ordinary Sky Supreme, and his strength was not much different from theirs. It was just that his identity was a little special. But from the looks of it now, they knew that they were wrong, and very wrong. The black-robed martial artist's cultivation was indeed at the Sky Supreme, but not at the early stage, but the middle stage. If a middle stage Sky Supreme wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake. Go. After pondering for a moment, Meng Quan and the others moved in unison, each unleashing powerful attacks at the small array core. Meng Quan, the ancestor of divine Emperor Palace, the Southern Dipper Venerable, the Northern Dipper Venerable, and the other high-level Earth sovereigns did not hold back. They knew very well that the black-robe martial artist was not joking. If they really could not break through the small array core in half an hour, they definitely could not bear the consequences. Rumble. A series of powerful spells were launched at the small formation core from all directions. Under the bombardment of so many powerful spells, the void around the small array core constantly shook, as if it was about to split open. Not good. Hurry up and help. Grandmaster Xing Yin originally wanted to subdue Jinbo first, but seeing the situation of the small array core, he immediately gave up on Jinbo and turned to resist the terrifying spells with Fairy Yun Shi. Fortunately, Grandmaster Xing Yun Shi and Fairy Yun Shi had the Yuzuan Pagoda and the 100 Flowers fan. Otherwise, they would not even be able to last a minute. Whoosh! Grandmaster Xing Yun Shi and Master Xing Yun Shi were resisting the powerful attacks of Meng Quan and the others. On the other side, Ningyu slowly let out a turbid breath and withdrew his hands from Bada's back. After dozens of minutes of effort, the seal in Bada's body was finally broken by Ningyu. Fortunately, Jinbo was sucked into the Yuzuan Pagoda, and Jin Kitchen was killed. Otherwise, it would have taken Ningyu a lot of effort to break the seal in Bada's body. Go help Grandmaster Xing Yun and the others. Ningyu's eyes were extremely solemn. He looked at Grandmaster Xing Yun, then at the black-robed martial artist outside, and said in a deep voice, "Even if you are seriously injured, you must ensure the safety of the small array core." Understood. Bada was still very grateful to Ningyu. Without Ningyu, the seal in his body would not have been broken, and the geniuses of the bloodthirsty Mad Wolf clan would not have been rescued. Now that Ningyu asked him to help, he definitely would not refuse. Swoosh! Bada instantly rushed out with both feet on the ground. He unleashed all the energy in his body and set up an energy barrier around the small array core. Fairy Yun Shi and Grandmaster Xing Yun were originally about to be unable to hold on, but with Bada's help, they could hold on for a while longer. Holding on for half an hour should not be a big problem. Chapter 1502. Chapter 1502. Chapter 1502 Time Lapse. Follow the plan. While Bada and the rest were defending the small formation core, Ningyu contacted Mu Ping and Mu Hua, who were in the Eastern Army, and told them to follow the original plan. Ningyu had been preparing for this for a long time, waiting for this moment. Not only did he inform Mu Ping and Mu Hua, Ningyu also informed Ma Qianshan of the Western Army. As long as something happens to the Eastern and Western armies at the same time, I don't believe that you guys won't go back. After giving these instructions, Ningyu turned his gaze to Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi. At first, Master Xing Yun and the rest were able to resist the attack of Meng Quan and the rest, but after 10 minutes, they finally couldn't resist anymore. The reason why Master Xing Yun and the rest couldn't resist wasn't because Meng Quan and the rest were too strong, nor was it because they were too weak. It was because the black-robed cultivator and the man in the bamboo hat had joined the battlefield. Both the man in the bamboo hat and the black-robed cultivator were mid-sky sovereigns. With them joining the battlefield, it was only natural that Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi couldn't resist anymore. Puchi! Puchi! In the next moment, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time. Although Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi were heavily injured and even spat out a mouthful of blood, they were still fine compared to Bada. Bada fell to the ground, covered in blood, and his aura had dropped to the freezing point. Outside Giant Shield City, the black-robed cultivator said, "I'll give you a chance to live now. Hand over the Tower of Yuzuan and the 100-Flower Fan, and I can spare your lives. I can also spare the people of Giant Shield City. Otherwise, I'll massacre the entire city." The black-robed cultivator said the words massacre very calmly, to the point that there wasn't a trace of emotion in his expression. The calmer the black-robed cultivator said, the more Master Xingyun couldn't stay calm. After all, the black-robed cultivator came from a different place from him. The black-robed cultivator could really do something like massacring a city. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu knew that he couldn't just stand by and watch. Although the situation on the eastern and western armies had already erupted, it couldn't have spread here so quickly. Therefore, before the black-robed cultivators and the others broke through the small array core, what Ningyu needed was time. Ningyu was best at stalling for time. With a step forward, Ningyu and Grandmaster Xingyun stood side by side. He even snatched the Tower of Yuzu from Grandmaster Xingyun's hands. The corners of his lips curled up as Ningyu said to the black-robed cultivator outside Giant Shield City, "Are you sure you want to massacre the entire city?" The black-robed cultivator's tone was calm, but Ningyu's was even calmer. Since he had decided to stall for time, Ningyu would definitely not be indecisive. "I can open a small formation eye and let you in, but I'm afraid you don't have the guts." The next moment, Ningyu really did something big. Waving the Tower of Yuzuin in his hand, he actually broke the small formation in front of everyone. Voila! The moment the small formation broke, the eyes of the black-robed cultivators and the others outside Giant Shield City widened in extreme shock. They had gone through a lot of hardships and even used their trump cards to break through the formation core. Even so, they were unable to quickly break open the small formation eye. What Ningyu had done had indeed exceeded their expectations. However, although it was unexpected, the black-robed martial artists were not fools. There must be a reason behind this abnormality. Now that Ningyu had opened the small array eye, they didn't dare to come in. After all, Jinbo's miserable state was still vivid in their minds. What if Ningyu was waiting there, waiting for them to enter the small array core and activate the Tower of the Supreme of Yuzuin to take them inside? Whoosh! In an instant, the gazes of Meng Quan and the rest shifted towards the black-robed martial artist. As expected, heroes come from the young. The black-robed martial artist did not answer Ningyu immediately. After pondering for a moment, he said, "If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid that you'll be able to kill me. You should be trying to use this method to confuse me and make me not dare to go in. You're very smart. I didn't expect that I hid so deeply and you actually guessed it." Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, Her. But so what if you guessed it? I'm standing right here. If you're not convinced, feel free to come in." As he spoke, Ningyu even took a few steps forward, getting even closer to the small formation eye. The position where Ningyu was standing was already considered an extremely dangerous place. At such a close distance, as long as the black-robed martial artist or the man in the bamboo hat made a move, Ningyu would die without a doubt. Swoosh! The black-robed martial artist's eyes stared fixedly at Ningyu, wanting to see some clues from Ningyu's expression. Want to see through me? How could it be so easy? Ningyu was someone who had experienced a lifetime. How could he not know what the black-robed martial artist was thinking? With a thought, Ningyu directly shut his eyes and began to rest. What? Ningyu's actions made the black-robed martial artist feel a little diffident. To be honest, although the black-robed martial artist suspected Ningyu, he dared not act rashly. Since the black-robed martial artist did not speak, Meng Quan and the rest dared not move either. Time seemed to have stopped at that moment. Why isn't the news getting here yet? Ningyu looked calm on the surface, but that was not the case in reality. At that moment, his clothes were completely drenched in sweat and stuck tightly to his back. As time passed, Ningyu's worries grew. He was already in a difficult position. If the news about the East and West armies still did not reach him after a while, he would be in trouble. Southern Dipper the Venerable One, go over and test him. After another 10 minutes, the black-robed martial artist finally could not take it anymore and said in a deep voice, "Me?" Hearing the black-robed martial artist's words, Southern Dipper the Venerable One almost fell in shock. Southern Dipper the Venerable One was not a fool. If even the black-robed martial artist did not dare to go over, he would definitely be doomed. "Why? You don't want to go?" Seeing that Southern Dipper the Venerable One did not want to go, the black-robed martial artist's tone gradually turned cold. "It's not that I don't want to go, but Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, hesitated. He has the Tower of Yuzuan, and the Tower of Yuzuan is a peerless magic treasure. I'm afraid I'm no match for it. You have no other choice. The black-robed martial artist's tone became calm instead. It was as if the black-robed martial artist was not talking to Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, but someone unimportant. All right, I'll go. Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, gritted his teeth and charged at Ningyu. Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, knew his situation very well. The black-robed martial artist was right. He had no other choice. He could only take a gamble. If he won, he could kill Ningyu and take the Tower of Yuzuan. If he lost, he could just cast the Golden Cicada shedding technique and escape. Eat my fist. While charging at Ningyu, Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, clenched his right fist and punched in the air. Chi-chi. The speed of the punch was much faster than Southern Dipper, the Venerable One. Chapter 1503. Retreat. A full-powered attack from a quasi-heavenly sovereign. Sensing the fist before him, Ningyu did not show any ripples on the surface, but his heart was in turmoil. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to resist it. Damn it, just a little more. Am I going to leave just like that? Ningyu wasn't willing to give up just like that. It was secondary if the Southern Dipper Venerable found an opening, and he would be done for. Oh, right. Suddenly, Ningyu thought of a countermeasure. Jin E, the pinnacle 9th grade alchemist of the Jin clan, Jin E, was still in the Ascension Pagoda, although Jin E was only a 7th grade Earth Sovereign. Her soul energy had reached the level of liquefying aura. With her cultivation at the 7th grade Earth Sovereign realm, she should have a 50% chance of blocking this powerful attack from the Southern Dipper Venerable. Buzz. Jin E had no other choice but to pour her energy and soul energy into Ningyu's body through the Ascension Pagoda. As the energy and soul energy continued to pour in, the aura emanating from Ningyu had instantly reached the pinnacle. Crack. Because there was too much energy and soul energy, cracking sounds came from Ningyu's body. Fortunately, Ningyu's physique was good. Otherwise, just the energy and soul energy alone would be enough to make his body explode. Still not dead. After a roar, the Southern Dipper Venerable's body stopped in the sky, and he did not continue his attack. The Southern Dipper Venerable couldn't be bothered with Ningyu's current state. In his view, even if Ningyu had reached the Earth Sovereign realm, it's impossible for him to resist his fist. Rumble. Under everyone's gazes, Ningyu's fist clashed with the Southern Dipper Venerable's fist. Poof! The outcome of the clash was within everyone's expectations. Ningyu was like a kite with a broken string. His body flew backward for dozens of feet and fell directly into Giant Shield City. Fresh blood spurted out, and Ningyu's aura instantly dropped to the freezing point. Close the small formation eye. Enduring the excruciating pain all over his body, Ningyu waved the Tower of Yuzuan in his hand and forcefully shut the small formation eye. Although he had Jin Yi's help, in terms of raw strength, Ningyu was still too far away from the Southern Dipper Venerable. He had no way of contending against him head-on. Since the obstruction had failed, Ningyu could only use the last bit of strength in his body to close the small formation eye. Haha, so you're the wax head of the silver spear. In that case, I have to apologize to you. Seeing as Ningyu fell to the ground, Southern Dipper, the Venerable One, was startled at first. Then he threw his head back and laughed out loud. Let's go together. We'll be able to destroy the small formation eye in half a minute at most. Voila! The Southern Dipper Venerable's words were the fuse. Meng Quan and the rest were all shrewd people. Since Ningyu's scheme had been seen through, then they would no longer hold back. Several silhouettes swiftly moved, and all sorts of powerful spiritual arts were thrown towards the small formation eye. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The powerful attacks that Meng Quan and the rest had just executed had all stopped on the spot. In an instant, the entire region had turned silent, to the point that it was a little weird. What's going on? The sudden stop of Meng Quan and the rest had caused the black-robed cultivator's face to turn ugly. The black-robed cultivator had unleashed the aura of a middle-phase heavenly sovereign and violently pressured towards Meng Quan and the rest. At the same time, he coldly barked, "Quick, destroy the small formation I can't do it now. There's something on the eastern side that I have to return to deal with." Meng Quan gritted his teeth as if he had made a huge decision. "There's also a change in the southern side. I have to return as well. There's also a problem with the northern side. I have to return immediately. There's also a problem with the western side. If we don't return now, it'll be too late." Not only Meng Quan, but even the Southern Dipper Venerable, the Northern Dipper Venerable, and the ancestor of God Emperor Palace had spoken at the same time. This change had clearly caused the black-robed cultivator's face to turn extremely dark. Just when he was about to destroy the small formation eye, there was such a change. The black-robed cultivator was unwilling. "I don't care what's wrong with those armies, but what you have to do now is to destroy the small formation eye for me." The black-robed cultivator's tone was extremely cold and domineering, without any room for redemption. In fact, the black-robed cultivator could destroy the small formation eye himself. It was just that the black-robed cultivator didn't dare to. Tuo he was still in the hands of Fairy Yun Shi and the rest, and the black-robed cultivator was afraid that Fairy Yun she would suddenly summon Tuo he and make him self-destruct when he entered the small formation eye. The only way was for Meng Quan and the rest to destroy the small formation eye as soon as possible and force Fairy Yun she to use her trump card. Only then could he successfully enter the giant shield city. That's what you said. As the Western armies didn't have anyone from Emperor Palace, they didn't have much to do with Emperor Palace. So the Patriarch of Emperor Palace said, "If the 100 Flowers Demon Palace is breached, it has nothing to do with us. Don't worry. Even if the 100 Flowers Demon Palace is breached, No, what did you say?" Initially, the black-robe cultivator was still rather arrogant and indifferent. But when he reacted, he immediately shouted, "The 100 Flowers Demon Palace is breached? Who has the guts to actually dare to attack the 100 Flowers Demon Palace? Don't they know that the Demon Lord is currently in the 100 Flowers Demon Palace? It's not a few people attacking the 100 Flowers Demon Palace, but thousands of people attacking the 100 Flowers Demon Palace together." Meng Quan followed up the Patriarch's words and said, "Now, the entire 4 armies have completely rebelled. They are being controlled and have started to advance towards the 100 Flowers Demon Palace." In the beginning, Meng Quan didn't want to interfere with this matter, but the Eastern armies had 2 of his disciples, Mu Ping and Mu Hua. He had to interfere. Damn it. Hearing Meng Quan's words, the black-robed cultivator gritted his teeth in anger. In order to attack the giant shield city, the 100 Flowers Demon Palace almost turned out in full force. Now, the giant shield city had not been breached, but the 100 Flowers Demon Palace was the first to have a problem. "Let's go." With a gloomy expression, the black-robed cultivator gritted his teeth, then turned around and flew towards the 100 Flowers Demon Palace. Swoosh! The man in the bamboo hat followed closely behind the black-robed cultivator and disappeared. However, when a man in the bamboo hat disappeared, a faint voice resounded in this area. "Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace, stay behind and watch the small array core. Without my permission, you can't go anywhere." Swoosh! The words of the man in the bamboo hat made the face of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace darken instantly. Let him stay behind? That was no different from courting death. Boom! Meng Quan and the rest did not care about the complicated feelings of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace at this moment. They teleported and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Master, what do we do now?" Seeing Meng Quan and the rest disappear, a martial artist of the same age as Ningyu frowned and said hesitantly, "Do we defend here or return to Emperor Divine Palace?" Chapter 1504. Chapter 1504. Chapter 1504. Relocate. Small formation Ihu. Inside Giant Shield City, when Ningyu saw the black-robed cultivator's retreat, he heaved a sigh of relief. The worry in his heart eased somewhat. To be honest, at that moment, Ningyu had almost lost all hope. In their current state, there was no way they could withstand the powerful attacks of the Black Robe cultivators and the others. No matter what, since the Black Robe cultivator and the others had retreated, it meant that his plan had succeeded. Mu Ping and the others had indeed caused a disturbance, forcing the Black Robe martial artist and the others to return. What's going on? Master Xingyan opened his mouth slightly, and his face was filled with confusion. Ningyu knew the plan, but he didn't. Seeing that the Black Robe cultivators were about to break through the small formation core, it did not make sense for them to retreat now. There's something I haven't told you. When I left, I didn't go anywhere else. I was with the Eastern Army. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu had nothing to hide. He told Master Xingyan about what had happened to him during this period of time. Of course, Ningyu did not mention anything about Xie. All right, hearing Ningyu's description, Master Xingyan could not help but applaud. Fortunately, Ningyu had a trick up his sleeve. Otherwise, he would not have been able to break out of this predicament. Make good use of this time to recuperate and try to find a way to move this small array before the black-robed martial artists return. Ningyu did not want to waste time here. His plan was not flawless. Once Meng Quan and the others returned to their respective armies, things would quickly settle down. During this period of time, their task was arduous. Not only did he have to recover to his peak condition, but he also had to find a way to move the small array core away, relocate a small formation core. Ningyu's words caused Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi to be a little stunned. They were a little confused. Ever since the peerless killing array existed, the small formation core had been fixed here. How was it supposed to be transferred? Both Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi knew nothing about it. Although the small formation core has been fixed here, it is not impossible to transfer it. How could Ningyu not know what Master Xingyun and the others were thinking? He said in a low voice, I can clearly tell you that all formations with small formation cores can be transferred. It's just that the method is a little complicated and requires a lot of preparation. But it's fine. With the current resources of Shield City, giant formation cores can be transferred. In his previous life, Ningyu was a Sky Supreme and a peak 9th grade alchemist. Coincidentally, Ningyu had refined a life-saving elixir for a pinnacle heavenly supreme powerhouse. This 2-on-12-121 2111 of 2-inch 1111. Ningyu thought that he would never have to use that method. Who would have thought that he would actually be able to use it in his rebirth? Of 4. All right, for one said. Star 1, Master Xingyun Shi and Master Xingyun Shi did not believe him. To be honest, if they did not know that Ningyu was very powerful, Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi would definitely not believe Ningyu. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next moment, Master Xingyun Shi and Master Xingyun Shi flew to the other side and sat down to recuperate. As for Ningyu, he was not in a hurry to recuperate. Instead, he went to Bada and placed his hands on Bada's back to check on his injuries. In order to stop Meng Quan and the others from attacking the small formation core, Bada had taken the lead and suffered heavy casualties. If Bada was not a bloodthirsty wolf with thick skin and thick flesh, he would have been decapitated by now. Even so, Bada was on the verge of death and his injuries were serious. Jin Yi. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu began to contact Jin Yi. If he wanted to alleviate Bada's injuries, he would need to use a 9th grade soul force. Ningyu's current soul force was only at the peak of the 8th grade. He was still a little away from the 9th grade. Therefore, asking for Jin Yi's help was a matter of course. Buzz. Although she was furious, Jin Yi did not dare to disobey Ningyu. With a thought, the soul force that she had just recovered entered Ningyu's body. Swish! While Ningyu was treating Bada's injuries, outside Giant Shield City, Di Lingtian shifted his gaze to him. Di Lingtian's expression was calm and did not show any emotion. Di Lingtian opened his mouth and said, Master, Ningyu's strength should only be slightly weaker than mine. He will be a formidable opponent. Di Lingtian knew his own strength very well. As a peak 1st grade Earth Supreme, he could fight against a 4th grade Earth Supreme. Although Ningyu was only a ninth grade Earth Supreme, Dealing Tian did not let his guard down. It was not difficult for some genius warriors to challenge those of a higher level. It's fine. You can suppress Ningyu now, so you will definitely be able to suppress him in the future. The old ancestor waved his hand and continued. Let's wait here first. I believe that Meng Quan and the rest will be back soon. Although it was a huge matter for the four armies to attack the 100 Flowers Demon Palace, it was nothing in the eyes of the old ancestor. The black-robed cultivator and the man wearing the bamboo hat were both middle phase heavenly sovereigns. As long as they unleashed their auras, the crisis would be resolved. At that time, the black-robed cultivator and Meng Quan would definitely be the first to return. When we capture Ningyu, I hope to spar with him. Dealing Tian seemed to have an indescribable interest in Ningyu. He had always been thinking about Ningyu and wanted to clash with Ningyu. Don't worry, Ningyu will definitely not be able to escape from our palms. The corner of the old ancestor's lips rose as he eerily said. If the words of the old ancestor were heard by Ningyu, Ningyu would probably reveal a disdainful expression. Where did you guys get the courage to capture me alive? Naturally, Ningyu couldn't possibly know what the old ancestor was talking about, since his attention was on Bada. Time swiftly passed. In the blink of an eye, 10-odd minutes had passed. Ningyu's hands slowly moved away from Bada's back. Wiping the sweat on his forehead, Ningyu said, I have already treated 50% of your injuries. The rest is up to you. Thanks. Bada cupped his fists towards Ningyu. From today onwards, my life belongs to you. I will not frown no matter where you ask me to go. Make the best use of your time to recuperate. I will need your help later. Ningyu waved his hand and continued. Right now, your main task is to recuperate while keeping an eye on the Emperor Palace's party. As long as they make any movements, inform me immediately. Understood. Bada nodded. Let's get ready first. Once Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun she have recovered, we will immediately start moving the small formation core. Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. Although his injuries had just recovered a little, he didn't dare to recover now. After all, moving the small formation core was a serious matter. If the small formation core had not been moved by the time the black-robe cultivators returned, the situation would be extremely dangerous. Chapter 1505. Chapter 1505. Chapter 1505 Movement. Fortunately, many people in Giant Shield City knew Ningyu, especially Chung Ling, who had fought alongside Ningyu in the Void Mystery Land. With the help of Chung Ling, Ningyu frantically searched for the things he needed in Giant Shield City. There were too many things that needed to be prepared to move a small array core. Even though Giant Shield City was a huge city, Ningyu had no way of gathering everything. After half an hour, Ningyu finally found 80% of the materials. Half an hour wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. Even though he had only found 80% of the materials, Ningyu did not dare to continue searching. If they continued searching, and Meng Quan and the others killed their way back to the small formation's eye, the losses would outweigh the gains. Xiao, after bidding farewell to Chung Ling, Ningyu moved quickly and arrived at the north gate of Giant Shield City in the blink of an eye. Ningyu's gaze lingered on the small array eye for a while. Then, his gaze shifted and fell on the people from Emperor Palace outside the city. To be more precise, it landed on Dealing Tian. At this moment, Dealing Tian raised his brows and stared at Ningyu with interest. He opened his mouth and said indifferently, Ningyu, do you dare to come out and spar with me? Idiot. Ningyu rolled his eyes and spat out the word idiot. He then turned around and walked towards the small array eye. Why should I spar with you? What a joke. I still have to move the small array core. I don't have the time to accompany you here. Ka. Hearing Ningyu's ridicule, Dealing Tian gritted his teeth. Dealing Tian clenched his fists tightly, and the bones in his palms made cracking sounds. Don't be impatient. The matter with the four armies has been settled. It won't be long before the black-robed martial artists rush back. At that time, Ningyu will definitely die. The old ancestor of Emperor God Palace waved his hand, signaling Di Ling Tian not to worry. In any case, the small formation core is here, and you can't move it away. As long as the small formation I can't be moved, we have a way to break it and easily enter Giant Shield City. Master, I understand. Taking a deep breath, Di Ling Tian tried his best to calm himself down. The situation is a little complicated. We still lack 20% of the materials. Ningyu stared at the small formation eye, and a solemn expression appeared on his face. The cleverest housewife cannot cook without rice. Ningyu's current state was similar to that of a clever housewife. Without the materials, no matter how strong he was, he would not be able to move the small formation core away. I need to find another material to replace it. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. Although it was risky to replace it with other materials, it was still much better than it was now. Grandmaster Xing Yun, Fairy Yun Shi, I need the following materials. Give me as many as you have. Ningyu did not care whether Grandmaster Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi had recovered to their peak state. He hurriedly sent a voice transmission to Grandmaster Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi, stone skin powder, 10,000 years milk. Whether the small formation core could be moved or not was the key to defending Giant Shield City. Even though Grandmaster Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi were still recuperating, Ningyu had to wake them up. I have stone skin powder. Fairy Yun, she knew the seriousness of the matter. She took out a storage bag and threw it to Ningyu. She said, and I have a way to find the other materials you mentioned. They're in Giant Shield City. Thank you. Hurry up and find them. Ningyu thanked her and said hurriedly. Every second counts. What Ningyu had to do was race against time. From Mu Ping and Mu Hua, Ningyu understood that Meng Quan and the rest would return to Giant Shield City in half an hour. Therefore, there was only half an hour left for Ningyu. It was indeed a little difficult to move away a small array core in half an hour, especially under the premise that there were not enough materials. Maybe Ning, you can really move the small formation core away. Ningyu's serious expression moved Grandmaster Xing Yun. Taking a deep breath, Fairy Yun Shi's figure flashed as she hurriedly went to find the remaining materials. At first, Fairy Yun Shi did not believe Ningyu. She thought that Ningyu was fooling around and would never move the small formation core away. Now that she saw Ningyu's serious expression, Fairy Yun Shi felt that she might be wrong. No matter what, she chose to believe in Ningyu. Crack! The space split open and Fairy Yun Shi disappeared in the blink of an eye. I have 8 materials. I don't have the rest. Grandmaster Xing Yun took out a storage bag and threw it to Ningyu. Fairy Yun Shi had a way to find the materials because her position in Giant Shield City was extremely high. Basically, no one would disobey her. As for Grandmaster Xing Yun Shi, he had no connections or resources in Giant Shield City. He could only give all the materials he had on him to Ningyu. Ha! Taking the storage bag from Grandmaster Xing Yun, Ningyu did not even look at it. He said, Grandmaster Xing Yun, I will pass you a chant. Follow it. Ningyu knew the severity of the situation. His priority was not to wait for Fairy Yun Shi to return, but to immediately move the small formation core. 80 to 90% of the materials could move the small formation core a certain distance. In Giant Shield City, in front of the small formation core, Ningyu did not want to wait for Meng Quan and the rest to return with the small formation core still in place. Therefore, before Fairy Yun Shi brought the materials over, he had already started moving the small formation core. Whoosh! All kinds of materials were taken out at the same time. Ningyu placed them around the small formation core according to a certain pattern. Then, Ningyu forced out 2 drops of blood essence and dripped them on the small formation core. Rumble! As soon as Ningyu was done, the small formation core started to shake. The shaking was getting more and more intense. Grandmaster Xing Yun, do it quickly. At the critical moment, Ningyu shouted at Grandmaster Xing Yun. Go! Grandmaster Xing Yun did not dare to delay. He followed the guidance of the chant and wrapped all the energy in his body around his wrist. Then, he blasted it at the small formation core. Plop! Grandmaster Xing Yun did not hold back. After unleashing this attack, he sat on the ground paralyzed. His aura was weak. Boom! Fortunately, with the help of Grandmaster Xing Yun's attack, the small formation core underwent an earth-shattering change. It was actually forcefully separated from a void. As for Ningyu, he held the small formation core with both hands and slowly walked toward the center of Giant Shield City. Gulp! The sudden change caused the people from Emperor Palace outside Giant Shield City to open their mouths wide. They were dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? Why is the small formation core being separated from a void? The Patriarch of Emperor Palace could not hide the surprise between his eyebrows. He was just thinking that unless Ningyu moved the small formation core away, he would be captured sooner or later. Now, Ningyu was actually holding the small formation core with both hands and walking toward the center of Giant Shield City step by step. This situation was clearly out of his expectations. What the hell is going on? How can he move the small formation core away? The Patriarch of Emperor Palace opened his eyes wide and stared at Ningyu, hoping to find some flaws. Unfortunately, after repeated checks, he finally came to a conclusion. The small formation core was indeed being moved slowly by Ningyu. The Patriarch of Emperor Palace had mixed feelings and even felt like he had been F***ed. Whoosh! Chapter 1506. The return of the experts looking at the silhouettes that suddenly appeared. The old ancestor of the Emperor Palace was briefly stunned before joy appeared on his face. The lineup this time was extremely powerful. The black-robed cultivator, the man in the bamboo hat, Meng Quan, the Southern Dipper Venerable, and the Northern Dipper Venerable. Even the Western Dipper Venerable, who wasn't present the previous time, was amongst the crowd. Evidently, the black-robed cultivator was determined to break the array core and attack the Giant Shield City, the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace. After appearing, the black-robed cultivator's gaze only lingered on the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace for a second before shifting to Ningyu. He said in a deep voice, "Why do I feel that what Ningyu is dragging looks like a small array eye? That's not a small-scale array core. It's indeed a small-scale array core." The old ancestor's expression was a little exaggerated, which showed that he was also shocked. Then, what are you waiting for? Quickly attack the small-scale array core. Seeing the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's shocked expression and his inaction, the black-robed martial artist's tone instantly turned cold. He said, "If we let Ningyu move the small formation eye away, we may have to work several times harder to attack Giant Shield City." All right. The old ancestor of the Emperor Palace simply had the urge to F***CK himself. He had waited here for so long, but in the end, he was still the first one to make a move. He really had bitterness that he could not express. However, the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace knew that he had no other choice but to be the first to make a move. Otherwise, the black-robed cultivator might really be able to kill him. With the black-robed cultivator's cultivation at the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm, it wouldn't take much effort for him to kill an initial phase Heavenly Sovereign. Since he would definitely die if he stayed, then he might as well try to break the small-scale array core. Whoosh! The black-robed cultivator flashed and arrived before the small-scale array core in the blink of an eye. Rumble! The massive attack did not stop in the sky and landed before Ningyu. Sizzle! 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 Space was torn apart as the shockwaves from the attack swept towards Ningyu. Go! Seeing that the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace had made a move, Master Xing Yun and Bada did not dare to be negligent. They moved and stood in front of Ningyu. Fortunately, Ningyu had moved some distance with the small formation eye, so the attack of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace had to penetrate the void to hit him. On the other hand, the old ancestor's cultivation was only at the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm. Under the obstruction of space, the power of his attack was greatly reduced by the time it reached Ningyu. With Bada and Master Nebula blocking from his side, they easily blocked the attack. Trash, all of you charge! Seeing as the great ancestor of Emperor Divine Palace could not do anything to Ningyu, the black-robed martial artist was infuriated. He roared, South Dipper venerable, North Dipper venerable, West Dipper venerable, Meng Quan, all of you attack. The black-robed martial artist was completely enraged. If Ningyu was given more time, Ningyu would definitely be able to take away the small array core. At that time, his plan would fall short of success. Swish! Just like the old ancestor of Emperor Divine Palace, the South Dipper Venerable and the rest had no choice but to attack. 4 half-step heavenly sovereigns attacked Ningyu from all directions. But unfortunately, no matter how hard Meng Quan and the rest attacked, they could not hurt Ningyu at all. Ningyu was still moving toward the center of Giant Shield City with the small array core. Why don't I make a move? The man in the bamboo hat frowned and said, we can't go on like this. If Ningyu really moves the small array core away, the consequences will be unimaginable. No, the black-robed martial artist refused. Tuahi is still in their hands. If we make a move, they might use it to threaten us. They might even detonate it and severely injure us. But if we can't break into Giant Shield City this time, we'll have to face the peerless killing array. The man in the bamboo hat gritted his teeth. Thinking about the terror of the peerless killing array, the man in the bamboo hat felt his heart palpitate. The peerless killing array was no joke. According to their investigations, at least tens of thousands of people would have to die if they wanted to break the peerless killing array. At that time, it would not be an exaggeration to say that blood would flow like a river. What are you afraid of? The peerless killing array is not invincible. The 100 Flowers Demon Master has already contacted an array master from another central continent. In 3 days, that array master will come. The black-robed cultivator waved his hand and said sullenly, that formation master is said to be the strongest in the heavenly demon domain in terms of formations. With his help, I believe that killing formations will not be a problem. Central Continent? Has the Central Continent's army already started? The man in the bamboo hat's attention was not on the array master, but on the Central Continent. Nodding, the black-robed martial artist said, the Central Continent is already under our control. The plan to control the Dansheng mainland will start with attacking Giant Shield City. Okay, let's do that. The man in the bamboo hat was a little excited. Since the people from the Central Continent had succeeded, the people from the Dansheng mainland could not be at a disadvantage. Puff, puff. In Giant Shield City, Bada and Master Xingyun were finally injured by the aftermath of the powerful attack after holding on for half an hour. They both spat out a mouthful of blood. After all, Bada and Master Xingyun had not recovered to their peak state. It was not easy for them to hold on for half an hour. However, even though they were injured, Bada and Master Xingyun would not retreat. They knew very well that if they retreated, Ningyu would definitely be attacked. Given Ningyu's state, if he was attacked, he would be crippled even if he did not die. The small array, I was still in Ningyu's hands. If something happened to Ningyu, the small array I would definitely be broken. Therefore, Master Xingyun and Bada had to hold on. Even if they died in battle, they had to hold on. Everyone, let's work harder. We're about to break the small array eye. Outside Giant Shield City, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace was extremely excited. He had waited here for so long and was finally going to attack Giant Shield City. How could he not be excited? Swoosh! However, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's excitement did not last long. His eyes widened and his face was filled with confusion. A figure flew over from the center of Giant Shield City and came to Ningyu's side in the blink of an eye. That figure was none other than Fairy Yun Shi. With a flick of her wrist, Fairy Yun Shi handed several materials to Ningyu. Then, together with Bada and the others, they began to resist the attack of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace. My God, my God! Seeing the sudden appearance of Fairy Yun Shi, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace almost spat out a mouthful of blood. One must know that Fairy Yun Shi came with a 100 Flowers fan. With a 100 Flowers fan, Fairy Yun Shi's combat power was enough to compete with the Sky Supreme. Chapter 1507. 100 Flowers Demon Lord shows his might. All right. Some were happy, some were sad. The ones who were worried were the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace and Meng Quan. The one who was happy was Ningyu. Receiving the materials that Fairy Yun she had tossed over, Ningyu didn't say a word as he forcefully threw them into the small array core. Buzz! With the injection of new materials, the small formation swayed even further. However, this kind of shaking did not make Ningyu nervous. Instead, it made Ningyu very excited. Now that he had all the materials, Ningyu's movement speed had increased significantly. Previously, Ningyu could only move a few steps per minute. Now, he could run more than 10 meters per minute. Comparing the two, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his steps were as fast as flying. Fairy Yin Shi, don't fight recklessly. Find a chance to leave at any time. The pressure on Ningyu's body was greatly reduced, and he could even send a voice transmission to Fairy Yin Shi. I will bring the small formation core to the City Lord's mansion. When the time comes, we will meet there. As he spoke, Ningyu rushed to the City Lord mansion with the small array rumble. Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, the progenitor of Emperor Divine Palace, Meng Quan, and the others no longer held back and unleashed their trump cards. Unfortunately, Ningyu walked further and further away. No matter how much they used their trump cards, they were unable to harm Ningyu. Furthermore, with Ningyu's disappearance, their attacks had already triggered the Peerless Killing Array. Voila! The defensive power of a Peerless Killing Array was still very shocking. Sensing an attack, the Supreme Killing Formation activated its defense system and reflected the attacks of the patriarchs of Emperor God Palace. Pupu. The overwhelming attacks bounced back, causing the patriarchs of Emperor God Palace and the others to suffer greatly. Relatively speaking, Patriarch of Emperor God Palace and Meng Quan were in a better situation. After all, they were powerful and could withstand the rebound attack from the ultimate killing formation. On the other hand, Nando, the Venerable, and the others were embarrassed. They were injured by their own attacks and were sent flying several feet away. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the black-robed martial artist blocked the rebound attack for them. Otherwise, it was very likely that they would have been seriously injured. The Peerless Killing Formation had a special characteristic. If you attack it, it will reflect the attack. As long as you don't touch it, it won't react. Now that the small array had been moved away by Ningyu, if they wanted to attack at the North Gate again, they would definitely trigger the Peerless Killing Array. The best opportunity had been missed. Go back and mobilize the 4 armies. Surround Giant Shield City. Don't let even a fly escape. Although the black-robed martial artist had already expected this result, he was still very angry when it really happened. However, despite his anger, the black-robed cultivator had no other choice. He could only order Meng Quan and the others to lead the army to surround Giant Shield City. They had to wait for the array master from the central mainland to come over. Once an array master came to Giant Shield City, the Peerless Killing Array would become a papier-mâché array that could be easily broken. Originally, Meng Quan and the others were worried that the black-robed martial artist would reprimand them. Now that they heard the black-robed martial artist's words, it was as if they had been granted amnesty. They hurriedly tore open the void and entered. In an instant, there were only 2 martial artists left here. The black-robed martial artist looked at Fairy Yun Shi, Ningyu, and the others who were gradually disappearing from his sight. His face became increasingly gloomy. Although an array master could easily break the Peerless Killing Array once he arrived. However, he had led the 4 armies over, but they still couldn't break through Giant Shield City. This was an indisputable fact. This matter had already aroused the dissatisfaction of 100 Flowers' Demon Master. He had to seize the time to remedy the situation. As for how to remedy the situation, he hadn't thought of it yet. Ningyu didn't know about the black-robed martial artist's anger. He brought the small array all the way to the city lord's residence and placed it in an absolutely safe place. After doing all this, Ningyu heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. Luckily, he knew how to move the small array in his previous life. Otherwise, Giant Shield City would have long been breached. Grandmaster Xing Yun, What's the situation at the south gate? Ningyu only relaxed for a moment before his face became solemn. The 4 armies were stationed at the south gate. In Ningyu's opinion, since the black-robed martial artist and the others couldn't enter Giant Shield City through the small array eye, they would definitely attack from the south gate and break the peerless killing array by taking turns to fight. Therefore, he couldn't let his guard down. The 4 armies have already started to move. The other 3 armies have already moved to the other 3 gates. Only the southern army was left at the south gate. Grandmaster Xingyun explained. Now that the problem of the small array has been solved, I believe that even if they attack the peerless killing array with all their strength, they definitely won't be able to break it so quickly. Moreover, looking at their posture, it seems that they plan to stay here for a long time. They have no intention of making a move. They don't plan to make a move. Ningyu was stunned at first, then said, "We can't let our guard down on this matter. I suggest we go to the south gate and take a look." All right. Although he thought that Ningyu's worry was unnecessary, Grandmaster Xingyun didn't stop Ningyu. Instead, he said, "Let's go to the south now, rumble." Before Grandmaster Xingyun finished saying the words South Gate, the entire City Lord's mansion began to shake violently. What's going on? This change was clearly out of everyone's expectations. Grandmaster Xingyun's eyes widened as he exclaimed, "Why is the City Lord's mansion shaking? Could it be that they're attacking from underground?" Impossible. The peerless killing array is omnidirectional. The danger of attacking from underground is even greater than attacking from the front gate. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "Something might have happened to the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Let's go and take a look." Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she didn't know, but Ningyu knew very well. It must be a problem with the soul attraction technique. The Palace Master of 100 Flowers was using the soul attraction technique in an attempt to severely injure the mysterious expert in the palace from afar, the so-called 100 Flowers Demon Master. Unfortunately, the 100 Flowers Demon Master also knew the soul attraction technique. Both sides used the soul attraction technique at the same time, and the 100 Flowers Demon Master had the help of an expert, so the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master had a problem. And it was a big problem. Actually, Ningyu's guess was right. At this moment, the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master's entire body began to swell, and her aura leaked out, constantly hitting the floor of the secret chamber. It was the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master's continuous attacks that caused the City Lord's mansion to shake continuously, giving off a feeling of extreme panic. Go and stabilize the people in Giant Shield City. Don't let them panic. Fairy Yun, Grandmaster Xingyun, and I will go to the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master now. At this point, Ningyu could only bite the bullet and go to see the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master. To be honest, even Ningyu wasn't confident that he could save the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master. This was because if he wanted to save the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master, he needed to control her first. Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun, she might not be able to control the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master, who had used the soul attraction technique. If Ningyu's guess was right, the 100 Flowers Demon Master had probably detonated her own soul power in an attempt to perish together with the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power. Chapter 1508. Help! What's going on in the City Lord's mansion? The violent shaking of the City Lord's mansion had caused the entire Giant Shield City to panic. On the streets, in the houses, and in the cellars, everyone shifted their gazes towards the City Lord's mansion with panic in their eyes. Everyone in the Giant Shield City knew that the Centauria Palace Master was in the City Lord's mansion, and the Centauria Palace Master was their pillar of support. If anything happened to the Centauria Palace Master, they wouldn't be able to hold on, so the violent shaking of the City Lord's mansion made everyone extremely worried. There were even many people who left their residences and rushed toward the City Lord's mansion to see what was going on. Panic, fear, unease. The entire Giant Shield City was shrouded in all sorts of unease. Everyone calm down. The Centauria Palace Master is cultivating a secret technique, and she's at a crucial moment. Since he was entrusted with this task, he had to do it. Since Bada had promised Ningyu to calm down the people of Giant Shield City, he definitely wouldn't go back on his word. He hovered above Giant Shield City and unleashed his aura as he swept his gaze across everyone. Anyone who dares to approach the City Lord's mansion will be killed without mercy. Whoosh! Everyone exclaimed. The reason why everyone exclaimed wasn't because of Bada's words, but because they were shocked by the aura he emitted. Pinnacle 9th Grade Earth Sovereign. They weren't fools, and everyone knew the current situation in Giant Shield City. Aside from Taoist Shin Mo and Fairy Yun Shi, there shouldn't be any other Pinnacle 9th Grade Earth Sovereigns in Giant Shield City. Who would have thought that there would be another Pinnacle 9th Grade Earth Sovereign? Initially, everyone wasn't very confident in fending off the four armies. But after sensing Bada's aura, everyone's confidence was greatly boosted. At the same time, in a secret room in the City Lord's mansion, the Centauria Palace Master's body swelled up, and it looked like she would explode at any moment. Outside the secret room, Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. The Centauria Palace Master's situation was much more serious than he'd expected. The Centauria Fiend Lord had already used the soul guidance technique to draw out the soul power in the Centauria Palatial Lord's Sea of Consciousness before the Centauria Palatial Lord. If this continued, the Centauria Palace Master would definitely self-destruct. On the other hand, the Centauria Palace Master was only taking control of Xielan's body temporarily. By then, it would be one corpse and two lives. What should we do? Fairy Yunshi's expression was no better than Ningyu's. Although she didn't know what had happened to the 100 Flowers Palace Master, Fairy Yun, she could tell from Ningyu's face how serious the problem was. You and Master Nebula will move together. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a serious tone, Master Xingyun, take the Palace Master's soul power out of Xielan's body, and you will be in charge of controlling Xielan. I will personally use the soul attraction art to fight against the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. No, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun, she shouted at the same time. Even Palatial Lord Centauria isn't Centauria Fiend Lord's match, so how can you possibly contend with Centauria Fiend Lord? Where there's life, there's hope. I've already made up my mind. There's no need for you to say anything more, Ningyu said in a deep voice. In fact, Ningyu was also very helpless. If there was any other way, he would definitely not take the risk out of desperation. There was something that Ningyu did not say out loud. He had to do it. Otherwise, if the Palace Master of 100 Flowers retracted the soul power he left in Xielan's body or detonated it completely, the Palace Master's body would be completely under his control. Therefore, Ningyu had to use the soul attraction art to severely injure the Palace Master's body before the Palace Master retracted his soul power. However, the success rate of doing so was very low, and any carelessness would result in a tragic death. All right, since Ningyu had already made up his mind, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun, she had nothing else to say. Their figures flashed, and they instantly rushed into the secret chamber. Die. Inside the secret chamber, the Palace Master of 100 Flowers' eyes immediately shot out a terrifying light when she saw Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi enter. After letting out a low roar, she immediately launched a powerful attack at Grandmaster Xingyun and the others. Fortunately, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi were strong, or they would really be defeated by the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Rumble. All kinds of spells were used in the secret chamber. Come out. After fighting for a while, Grandmaster Xingyun released his soul power and sent it into Xielan's body. Since the strength of Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power had reached the level of liquid transformation pill, it didn't take much effort for him to extract the Palace Master's soul power from Xielan's body. Suppress. After Grandmaster Xingyun extracted the Palace Master's soul power, Fairy Yun, she activated the 100 Flowers fan and sealed Xielan's entire body. You two protect me. I'm going to use the soul attraction art to fight with the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person, and he naturally wouldn't waste such a good opportunity. Moving his body, Ningyu arrived beside Xialan in the blink of an eye and sat down cross-legged. Slap! With both hands on Xialan's back, Ningyu's peak 8th grade soul power completely entered Xialan's body. This, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun, she were a little dumbfounded when they saw Ningyu's actions. Didn't he need the soul attraction pill to use the soul attraction art? Why didn't Ningyu do any preparatory work before using the soul attraction art? What should we do now? Fairy Yun, she held the 100 Flowers fan and bit her lips. At this moment, she was very fragile. She placed all her hopes on Ningyu. Whether Ningyu succeeded or not was a matter of great importance. Protect Ningyu. Grandmaster Xingyun first stored the Palace Master's soul power, then said in a deep voice, based on my understanding of Ningyu, he would never do something he wasn't confident in. Since he said he's going to use the soul attraction art to fight against the Palace Master of 100 Flowers, he's definitely confident. After going through so many things with Ningyu, Grandmaster Xingyun naturally chose to believe in Ningyu. All right, Fairy Yun, she had no other choice but to nod and stand guard for Ningyu. What Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she didn't know was that in one of the halls of the 100 Flowers Palace, a warrior wrapped in a red robe suddenly raised his eyebrows, and a playful smile appeared on his face. Palace Master of 100 Flowers, I didn't expect you to have an expert helping you. Opposite the red-robed martial artist, a woman sat cross-legged with an extremely pale face. Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Sitting opposite the red-robed martial artist was the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Didn't I get tricked by you? Palace Master of 100 Flowers opened her eyes slowly with an expressionless face. I didn't expect you to know the soul attraction art. Palace Master of 100 Flowers had basically given up now. Ever since her soul attraction art was countered by the Palace Master of 100 Flowers, her situation had taken a turn for the worse. She was no longer able to fight against the Palace Master of 100 Flowers head-on, but was now at a complete disadvantage. If the Palace Master of 100 Flowers was given a few more hours, her body would be completely controlled. By then, there would only be two fates for her. Chapter 1509. Chapter 1509. Chapter 1509. To do it personally, of course I know the soul attraction technique. The 100 Blossoms Demon Master's lips curled up. Don't worry, I won't kill you for now. I want to see just how strong the martial artist behind you is. Palatial Lord Centauria snorted coldly and turned her head away. Due to the failure of the soul guidance technique, Palatial Lord Centauria had lost contact with the soul force in Giant Shield City. In other words, the Palace Master didn't know that the person helping her in Giant Shield City was Ningyu. In her opinion, the one who helped her should be Grandmaster Xingyun. After all, Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power had reached the level of liquefying into a pill. Master Xingyun's soul power and Ningyu's experience. Hope reignited in Palatial Lord Centauria's heart. Of course, there was only a tiny bit of hope in Palatial Lord Centauria's heart. It was so tiny that even she didn't believe it. But having hope was better than nothing. Whoosh! Ningyu didn't know what happened in the Flower Palace. However, even if Ningyu knew about it, he had no time to care because he was currently facing a huge problem. His soul power had already entered Xialan's sea of consciousness, and he saw the soul power left behind by the 100 Flowers Demon Lord. However, the 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power had grown much stronger. It was clear that the 100 Flowers Demon Master and the Palace Master had not only gained the upper hand during the time they were using the soul attraction technique, but the 100 Flowers Demon Master had also devoured a portion of the Palace Master's soul. Of course, Ningyu wasn't too worried about the 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power. The only thing that made things difficult for Ningyu was that Xialan's soul force was already controlled by the 100 Flowers Demon Master. Xialan's body had originally been controlled by the Centauria Palace Mistress. Now that the Centauria Palace Mistress' spiritual force had been expelled, this body naturally belonged to the Centauria Palace Mistress. Ningyu? Seeing Ningyu's face, 100 Flowers Demon Master was slightly surprised. A few months ago, he had come into contact with Ningyu. At that time, his soul power had been jointly controlled by Ningyu and Palace Master Centauria. It was only because he wanted to use the soul attraction technique that he was able to preserve this wisp of soul force. Now that she saw Ningyu, how could 100 Flowers Demon Master not be surprised? 100 Flowers Demon Master, I didn't think we would meet again. Ningyu took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Ningyu knew that he couldn't afford to anger the 100 Flowers Demon Master right now. Otherwise, Xiaolan might be in trouble. So, the person behind the Palace Master of 100 Flowers is you. The 100 Flowers Demon Master said indifferently, I'd like to see if your soul attraction art is stronger or if mine is stronger. As soon as he finished speaking, the 100 Flowers Demon Master opened his mouth and directly swallowed half of Xiaolan's soul force. With half of her soul power devoured, Xiaolan immediately let out a hysterical scream. I'll use her soul power as a guide. If you can defeat me, you can save her life. Otherwise, both of you will die. The 100 Flowers Demon Master's eyes revealed a cold expression. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to use the soul attraction art against Xiaolan. Swoosh! As the 100 Flowers Demon Master used the soul attraction art, Xiaolan's remaining soul power directly flew over to Ningyu's side. Xiaolan stared at Ningyu without saying a word. However, Ningyu could see the determination in Xiaolan's eyes. Xiaolan's meaning was very clear. If you can't do it, then forget it. I can self-destruct and perish together with the 100 Flowers Demon Master. Trust me. Ningyu nodded slightly and then sat down cross-legged. He formed a series of hand seals and began to use the soul attraction art. Buzz! As Ningyu waved his hands continuously, the remaining half of Xiaolan's soul power slowly merged with Ningyu's soul power. Xiaolan's actions clearly shocked Ningyu, cutting off all means of retreat. Clearly, Xiaolan had made her decision. The moment Ningyu failed, she would choose to self-destruct and perish together with the 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power. Xiaolan's decision made Ningyu feel immense pressure. It was fine if he failed alone, but he would definitely implicate Xiaolan. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu threw those thoughts out of his mind and began to fully focus on executing the soul attraction art. If the 100 Flowers Demon Master was an ordinary cultivator, Ningyu wouldn't be worried, nor would he feel the slightest pressure. However, the 100 Flowers Demon Master wasn't simple. From his soul power, Ningyu could determine that the 100 Flowers Demon Master was extremely powerful. He might even be a pinnacle heavenly supreme. Ningyu was a little puzzled. Logically speaking, the 100 Flowers Palace Lord's strength was far inferior to the 100 Flowers Demon Master's. She shouldn't be able to withstand the 100 Flowers Demon Master's attack. Of course, these thoughts only flashed through Ningyu's mind. They didn't affect Ningyu. Ningyu knew what he was going to do. He was going to execute the soul attraction art to fight against the 100 Flowers Demon Master. However, not long after, Ningyu ran into trouble. Although the soul power that the 100 Flowers Demon Master left in Xiaolan's body wasn't too strong, it wasn't weak either. With Ningyu's current pinnacle 8th grade soul force, there was no way he could defeat the 100 Flowers Demon Master in terms of soul attraction art. Grandmaster Xingyun. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. Since he couldn't fight against the 100 Flowers Demon Master with his current soul power, Ningyu decided to contact Grandmaster Xingyun and ask for some soul power. Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power was at the liquid to core level. With his help, Ningyu's chances of winning would be much higher. Transfer all of your soul power to me. Ningyu didn't hide his thoughts and directly told Grandmaster Xingyun his request. What? Grandmaster Xingyun was extremely focused. When he heard Ningyu's request, he was stunned for a moment before he said in a deep voice, "Absolutely not. My soul power has reached the liquid to core level. If I transfer it to you, it might cause your soul power to explode. Hurry up, it'll be too late." Now that things had come to this, Ningyu couldn't care less. Only Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul power could defeat the 100 Flowers Demon Master. All right, Grandmaster Xing Yun gritted his teeth and sent half of his soul power into Xielan's body to merge with Ning Yu's soul power. No, it's too little. Ning Yu knew that Grandmaster Xing Yun was doing this for his own good. However, if he wanted to defeat the 100 Flowers Demon Master, he could only use Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul power. Here you go. Grandmaster Xing Yun knew that once Ning Yu made up his mind, he would never change it. He took a deep breath and transferred the rest of his soul power to Ning Yu. What's going on? In the secret chamber, she saw Grandmaster Xing Yun's serious expression and asked. As Shi's priority was to protect Grandmaster Xing Yun, she didn't know about the conversation between Grandmaster Xing Yun and Ning Yu. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.